Simpson matter, record to reflect the defendant is again present before the court with counsel Mr. Shapiro, Mr. Cochran, Mr. Douglas, Mr. Bailey. People represented by Ms. Clark, Mr. Darden, Mr. Gordon. Jury is not present. Counsel, I have just received a letter dated February the 6th. Is Mr. Blazier still here? There he is. On the DNA issue, which I have not had the opportunity to read yet. And I also received a fax from the defense regarding the same subject. And counsel, I take it, Mr. Blazier, you wanted to file some responsive letter?
Yes, Your Honor. There's additional argument in that letter, and we'd like to respond to that, and I will try to do that by the end of business today or tomorrow at the latest.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Also on the issue of the Roy Firestone videotape, did counsel have the opportunity to discuss the matter with representatives of that television program?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor.
Morning, Mr. Cochran.
Had an opportunity to discuss the matter with the representatives of the Roy Firestone show. And with regard to the foundational questions that I had, I've been satisfied with regard to that, and I've shared that with Mr. Darden. That does not at all alleviate the other problem, I feel, of 352 relevance or whatever, but at least this regarding the foundation, I had my questions answered.
All right. Are you willing to stipulate then to the foundation, at least as to the authenticity, date, and time of that interview?
Well, so stipulate, yes, Your Honor, but not to the other issues.
Not waiving any of your other objections?
Right. That's correct, Your Honor.
Is that stipulation acceptable to the people?
I didn't hear the language.
Stipulate to the authenticity, date, and time of the interview. That's recorded on the videotape.
Your Honor, you heard the stipulation. That's all I care to say.
Yeah.
Your Honor, in addition to that, I should point out that I was provided with a copy of that video by Mr. Darden today, and also a copy of the infamous long-lost recital video from that was taken June 12th, 1994, sometime after 6:30. Mr. Darden has apparently given me a copy of that this morning. I've not seen it. I want the record to reflect that.
All right.
Thank you.
Noted. Thank you, counsel. All right, counsel, anything else we need to take up before we invite the jury to rejoin us?
I'd like to approach you with the report on what I'm having.
All right. With the report, please. Mr. Shapiro, do you have your computer running?
I have it on, but I don't, we're just trying to get on the case here, so
All right. Do you have the test?
yes.
All right, Deputy Magnar, let's have the jury, please. Ladies and gentlemen, I received a note from juror number 1290, which I suspect represents the views of the jurors, and I'll discuss that with the staff and the attorneys. And as you know, I've tried to respond to your requests or any concerns that you have, and it may take me a day or two, but I will address this issue for you. All right, let's resume with Denise Brown. Ms. Brown, would you come forward, please? And would you resume the witness chair, please? All right. Good morning, Ms. Brown. You're reminded you're still under oath. All right. Would you pull the microphone close to you, please? All right. Mr. Darden, do you wish to continue your direct examination?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Ms. Brown, when we left off last Friday, you told us about the crotch-grabbing incident at the Red Onion. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. And you also talked to us about an incident that occurred after you and your sister Nicole and Ed McCabe returned to the defendant's house after an evening at the La Cantina.
Yes,
Recall
I did.
that? Do you also recall telling us that...
Your Honor, are we going to go through all of the testimony of Friday?
Was that an objection?
Yes, that's an objection.
Overruled.
Let's say objection then.
It's been asked.
Overruled. Counsel, you don't need to directly address counsel. Thank you.
And you also told us that after you told the defendant that he took your sister for granted, that pictures began flying off the walls?
Yes, they did.
All right, let's pick up there.
Okay.
From that point on. The pictures that you mentioned last Friday, where were those pictures located?
They were going up the stairs, up the staircase to the second story.
Okay. And had you seen those pictures before?
Oh, sure, many times.
Okay. How many pictures were there?
Oh, I think there's about 3 or 4 rows going up like this and all the way up the staircase.
Okay. And who was depicted in those photographs?
It was family members.
Brown family members?
Well, Brown families, OJ's family, a lot of different pictures.
And you mentioned that pictures began flying off the walls. How were those pictures removed, or how did they come flying off the wall?
OJ was walking up the hall or up the staircase, and he started throwing them. He took them off the wall and started throwing them down.
And was he saying anything? Did the defendant say anything as he threw those?
He wanted her out of his house.
That's what the defendant said?
He wanted her out of his house, and he continued going up the stairs, and he grabbed the clothes out of her closet and started throwing them down onto the foyer where we were, down on the bottom, and he came back down. He grabbed Nicole. He threw her up against the wall, and then he grabbed her, and the only thing I remember is that he looked so, his whole facial structure changed. Everything about him changed.
Okay, let me stop you there.
Non-responsive. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the witness's comments regarding facial structure and change of expression is stricken from the record as it was not in response to the question. You're to disregard that question, that answer. Excuse me. Mr. Darden.
Okay. Did you see the defendant's face immediately after you told him that he took your sister for granted?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what, if anything, unusual did you notice about his face at that time?
At that time, he got very upset, and he started screaming.
Now, was his anger manifested in any way other than the fact that he became other than the fact that he began screaming?
Yeah, his whole facial structure changed. I mean, everything changed about him.
Okay, well, when you say his facial structure changed, what do you mean? Elaborate on that for us, please.
It was a calm, quiet, normal conversation, like we were sitting here right now. And then all of a sudden, it turned into the eyes got real angry. It was his whole jaw, everything started, you know, his whole face just changed completely when he got upset. It wasn't as if it was OJ anymore. He looked like a different person, and that's what Nicole had always said when he gets angry.
Let me stop you there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're to disregard the last portion of the answer comments as to what Nicole had said about the defendant's behavior or facial structure. Ms. Brown, if
Sorry.
you would you please listen carefully to Mr. Darden and defense counsel's question. Please answer as precisely as you can, and please don't volunteer any information.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Now, had you seen the defendant angry on other occasions?
Not like this.
Okay. Well, this change in his facial structure that you just testified to, is that something that commonly happens when the defendant becomes angry?
I had never seen it like this before. No.
So that was the first time you'd ever seen him get that angry?
Yes.
Can I have one moment, Your Honor?
You may.
Where did you and Mr. McCabe and your sister go after the defendant threw the three of you out of his house?
We went to the Beverly Hills Hotel.
Okay. And why did you go to the Beverly Hills Hotel?
That's where he was staying, Ed McCabe.
Okay. And were you staying there as well?
We stayed there that night, yes.
Okay. And Ed McCabe was your boyfriend at the time?
Yes, he was.
And did you spend the night at the Beverly Hills Hotel that night?
Yes, we did.
Did your sister Nicole also spend the night with you that night?
Yes, she did.
Did she ever return to the house?
She did the next morning.
Did you try and stop her from returning to the house?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I told her that she shouldn't go back. She says, I'm not going back. I'm just going to go pick up a few things.
Did she say if she'd return back to the hotel?
Yes, she did.
She said she was going to come back to you?
Yes, she did.
Did she come back?
No, she didn't.
Did you report that incident to the police at the time?
No, I did not.
Did she?
I don't think so.
And did Ed McCabe report it to the police?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Did you consider reporting the incident to the police?
I didn't.
Why
I told
not?
her, I just told her, I said, you can't go.
Hold on. The question was, did you report it to the police? Did you consider reporting to the police? The answer is yes or no.
No.
All right, thank you. Mr. Douglas.
And why didn't you report it to the police?
Because she said she'd take care of it.
And if you recall, what year was it that this incident occurred?
God, it was in the early 80s. 82, 83 maybe.
Do you know the exact date?
No, I don't.
Okay. Could it have been later than 82 or 83?
I know it was the early 80s. I don't think it was later.
I have one moment, Your Honor.
Certainly.
Ms. Brown, after your sister Nicole told you that she would handle it, why didn't you take it upon yourself to take further steps toward notifying the police?
Could you repeat that, please?
Okay. Well, your sister told you that she would handle it, correct?
Right.
Okay. Did she handle it?
I guess in her own way she did.
Well, you told us that you expected her to return to the hotel. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, when she didn't return to the hotel, did you do anything toward finding out why she didn't return to the hotel?
You know what? I really don't remember. I just told her to come back.
Okay. Well, did you do anything toward finding out if she was okay?
Oh, we had talked later on, yeah.
Ms. Brown, I'd like to show you 3 photographs. And these photographs have already been marked people's 9, 10, and 11 for identification. May I approach them?
You may.
Let me show you 3 Polaroid photographs. Have you seen these photographs before?
Yes, I have.
Do each of these photographs depict your sister?
Excuse me?
Is your sister shown in each of these 3 photographs?
Yes, she is.
Your Honor, if I could put these up on the Almo. Showing equals 9 for identification. Ms. Brown, do you see People's 9 there on the monitor next to the witness stand?
Yes, I do.
Is that a picture of Nicole?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Directing your attention to her. Jeez, where is it? Yeah. Is there a red dot? Directing your attention to the left eye, Nicole's left eye in People's 9 for identification. Do you see an injury there at her left eye?
Yes, I do.
When was the first time you saw this photograph?
I saw this in her bathroom drawer. When I opened up her bathroom drawer.
Was this a bathroom drawer located in the house at Rockingham?
Yes, it was. It was in her bathroom.
Whose bathroom was it?
Nicole's.
It was Nicole's bathroom?
Yes.
She showed the photograph to you?
No, I just saw it in the drawer and I took it out and I looked at it.
And did you show the photograph to her?
Yes, she was standing right there with me at the time.
And did you and she discuss the photograph?
Yes, we did.
What did she tell you about the photograph?
Counsel, you want to approach her, please? And Ms. Brown, I'm going to need to discuss something with the lawyers. I'm going to ask you to step out of the courtroom. All right, thank you. I'm a little concerned. We're back in open court, out of the presence of the jury. Mr. Darden, I'm a little concerned here. People's 9. The court ruled as to the 1101B incidents, and there were certain specific incidents that were mentioned in the various motions that the court has specifically ruled upon, yes or no. What's your offer of proof as to People's 9?
Your Honor, People's 9, the photograph which depicts Nicole Brown, the one that was just on the Alamo, is a photograph that was recovered from the safe deposit box along with the 1989 photos, as well as the Herald Examiner newspaper article from 1989, the newspaper article that described the January 1, 1989 charges and beating.
All right. Well, we all know from apocryphal stories that Polaroid photos can be dated to a certain degree by the code on the back of the photograph indicating the date of manufacture, distribution, blah, 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 about the photograph. What have you found out from Polaroid regarding those photographs?
As far as when the film was produced?
Yes.
1978 or 79.
That film also, they'll tell you about freshness and how long the battery pack will stay alive, and that appears to be an SX70 type Polaroid photo.
Okay, I have no information about battery packs and how long
So how are
film will stay alive.
How are we going to tie People's 9 to an incident that the court has ruled admissible under 1101B?
Your Honor, there is the issue of the defendant's attempt to minimize what happened in January 1989. And as I've indicated to the court before, it's our position that Ms. Brown left a trail of evidence indicating that there had been a pattern or history of abuse between her and the defendant. I think her state of mind is relevant given the defense posture and cross-examination of Ron Shipp. I think that Ms. Brown's state of mind is going to be relevant in these proceedings in the area or on the issue of why immediately after the murders she told the New York Times that she didn't know anything about Nicole having been abused. And these photographs are no surprise to the defense. These photographs were presented to the court and to defense counsel during the domestic violence motions and hearings.
Mr. Jordan, the fact that it's not a surprise doesn't make it automatically admissible. Would you agree?
There's never been an objection to having these photographs mentioned here in open court. They were shown to Ron Shipp just the day before yesterday.
Well, let me ask you another question, since we're obviously going to talk about People's 10 and People's 11. How are you going to connect this up to any of our incidents, 10 and 11?
I'm sorry, how am I going to connect it up to?
Any of the incidents under 1101B that the court has deemed admissible for the purpose of this hearing?
I don't think this is an 1101B issue, frankly, but as far as the other two photographs,
Well,
10
counsel, we
and
can't
11.
just show horrible photographs without tying it to something relevant to this case.
Denise Brown's state of mind is relevant, and so is Nicole Brown's state of mind. They made Nicole Brown's state of mind relevant as it relates to domestic violence. They've introduced evidence that she was drinking, or that the 1989 incident occurred because she was drinking. They've attempted to minimize the defendant's conduct every step along the way, Your Honor. And they've also attempted to imply to the jury or suggest to the jury that it was an isolated incident.
All right, what's my recollection of looking at 9, 10, and 11 is that not the serial number, the manufacturer's code on each of these Polaroid photographs is very different one from another. What is your information as to the date of manufacture of the film of 10 and 11?
10 and 11 are manufactured in 88 or 89, but Denise Brown is going to testify to having taken 10 and 11 herself.
All right, she is the actual photographer then?
Yes.
All right. So your offer of proof is that this is relevant to a state of mind of Nicole Brown Simpson?
as well as Denise Brown. Now, Mr. Shapiro has been kind enough to share with us his stack of newspaper articles that relate to everything Denise Brown has ever said about this case. And I think we need to explain to the jury why Ms. Brown felt initially that her sister was not the subject of abuse. And I think other things that have been shown to the court and to counsel, things that have actually been objected to, and things that the court has actually advised the people to proceed with caution,
The problem,
will become
Mr.
relevant.
Darden, the problem I have, though, is that you're offering a photograph for which there is no foundation as to date, time, and a connection with any one of the 1101B incidents. That's our problem.
And that's why I say I don't see it as an 1101B issue. I see it as a state of mind issue for Denise Brown and for Nicole Brown. And as it relates to Nicole Brown's state of mind, the fact that she is keeping in her safe deposit box these photographs along with her will and these newspaper articles, we think it's all relevant. Not under 1101B, but we think that Nicole Brown's state of mind is relevant.
All right, let me hear from the defense. Mr. Shapiro.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. First, Your Honor has been told by the prosecutors that these three photographs were from 1989 when they were discussed during our hearings regarding the relevancy of domestic discord issues. And with that, we had no objection. We certainly have no objection to the two photographs that were taken allegedly by Denise Brown in 1989 as being similar photographs to those that have been shown to a previous witness and taken by the Los Angeles Police Department. However, for the prosecutor to come to court and offer a witness and flash a photograph without knowing what that witness was going to say about the photograph and telling Your Honor that we haven't asked her, I guess she's going to say they were 1985, I don't know what she'll say, I have to ask her, is something that is not permitted by our rules of procedure. Further, the fact that I gratuitously turned over a extensive Lexis search regarding Denise Brown and her public statements, both in newspapers as well as about 10 television show interviews that she did, as well as excerpts from a book that she participated in, was only to aid the prosecution so they could not claim surprise and so that they would be prepared should those issues come up. However, I have not yet asked a question, and I don't see how the prosecution can possibly know what questions I'm going to be asking, if any, of Ms. Brown.
Well, counsel, my concern is not necessarily anticipating what the cross-examination of Ms. Brown is going to be. My concern is that showing the jury a relatively graphic photograph of the victim in this matter, one of the victims in this matter, who obviously appears to have been beaten from this photograph, without being able to tie it to any of the incidents that we're talking about here. That's my concern.
That is our concern, and we're reluctant to object, but when they start putting up material letting the court know that this is a 1989 incident, and then saying they can't establish a foundation, they don't know when it was taken, and they haven't even asked their witness, is conduct that should not be permitted. The question is now, what is the remedy that can be done after this photograph has been shown and displayed for several minutes? And when I initially went up to sidebar, Your Honor will recall that I asked that the picture be taken down immediately because of those concerns, and Your Honor did have that picture removed, but it still took a period of time. And I believe that irreparable harm has been done and tremendous bias to Mr. Simpson by deliberately displaying a photograph where they knew there is absolutely no foundation in that it could not be admitted into evidence and was improper to show. Also, Mr. Cochran reminds me, regarding the state of mind, Denise Brown's state of mind is irrelevant to these proceedings. She's not on trial. She's a witness so far to 3 events. And her state of mind and what she felt and what she wanted to do is totally irrelevant to anything. If we are so sloppy as to bring it up on cross-examination, then perhaps the people might claim the door was opened. But to try to start with a preemptive strike and to anticipate by bringing in clearly inadmissible material is not permitted and should not be sanctioned by this court. And there should be a serious misconduct sanction rendered against the prosecution for this behavior.
Such as?
I think to tell the jury to disregard the photograph has no effect whatsoever. I think a more serious sanction is in order, and I would like to have a moment to confer with my colleagues as to what that might be, and also to put in a call to Mr. Dershowitz, who is viewing these proceedings long distance.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Well, let's allow counsel to confer for a moment.
Pardon?
Let's allow counsel to confer for a moment. Mr. Bailey, it would thrill me to death if you didn't do that while we're still in session.
Your Honor, we would like to take a recess at this point in time to confer with Mr. Dershowitz and Mr. Ullman, as well as my co-counsel here in court.
Well, I think we've got enough horsepower here to figure this out, don't we?
I don't know, Your Honor. I have been practicing for a long time, and I've never seen anything quite this extraordinary, where a photograph that is clearly inadmissible is just thrown up on giant screen television for the jury to see. Without even knowing. I mean, Mr. Darden is on the record as saying, I haven't asked the witness about this. I don't know what her answers would be.
I know.
Hold on.
And the sanctions, certainly the easiest sanction is simply disregard it. Well, most of us who have been practicing for a long period of time know that not only is that not effective, all it does is serve in some instances to re-emphasize the point. And perhaps there should be some sanctions that all issues of domestic discord be stricken from this record, and that we move on to the real issues of this case, and that is who committed these horrible murders. And I think that might be an appropriate sanction under these circumstances, that the people will have all of the evidence that they have presented stricken because of this type of conduct.
Could you give us about 2 minutes here?
Hold on. Mr. Darden?
Even approach anything that can be construed as misconduct. These photographs were shown to the court. They were shown to the defense a month ago. They were presented here in open court, and they were shown to a witness, and they were marked.
Mr. Darden, please, let me ask you a question. The problem I have is that we've shown the jury this photograph without a foundation as to where and when this photograph was taken or by whom, and we don't know if it ties up to any of the incidents that I've indicated are admissible under the 1101B ruling.
Did the court rule it inadmissible, the recovery of 3 Polaroid photographs from a safe deposit box?
It may be irrelevant.
Okay.
And if it's irrelevant, the inflammatory nature of that particular photograph, which you have to admit is a pretty strong photograph.
That's why we have the learned counsel on for the defense, Your Honor. They could have objected. They have an evidence list just like I have.
That's why we're here.
Right. That's right. They certainly didn't. They didn't object to it. They've known about it for a month. They saw it last week, and they didn't object to it. But now they object to it today after the jury sees it?
Well, now we found out there's no foundation for it.
There is a foundation for it. Denise Brown is going to testify to having seen that photograph. It ends up in a safe deposit box along with the 1989 photographs. The defense has indicated that they're going to call Lenore Walker, and if the court reads Lenore Walker's writings as it relates to domestic violence, the fact that the victim left a trail just like the trail left by Nicole Brown. It's very relevant, extremely relevant. It's going to be relevant as to Lenora Walker's opinion when she arrives
Why
here.
isn't this a rebuttal issue? Why is this in the case in chief if it's not one of the 1101B issues, one of the 1101B incidents that I've allowed?
Because it's relevant as to Denise Brown's state of mind. It's also
Denise
relevant
Brown's
as to,
state of mind is irrelevant.
okay. It's also relevant as to
Take that to the bank.
Pardon?
Take that to the bank.
Is that an indicated ruling?
It's a strong inclination.
At any event,
At least at this point, to establish Denise Brown is here to testify to the nature of the relationship as to 3 specific incidents.
can I?
This photograph is not related to any of those 3 incidents, so it appears to me to be irrelevant. What concerns me is the rather inflammatory nature of that photograph, and to show it to the jury without any foundation for it is more than inappropriate.
Your Honor, everyone understands when those photographs were recovered. Everyone understands that in the photographs,
Doesn't make it admissible that they know about it, counsel.
can
Go ahead and finish.
we put 2 photographs up on the screen for you for a moment, so that I can just make one other point on
Sure.
the issue of their failure to object.
All right. I see number 9, and what else, Mr. Fairtlow?
It's also number 10.
All right. What's the point?
The point is this: look at the age of Nicole Brown in number 9, and look at the photograph marked number is 11, number 10. Okay. No one's hiding anything from the defense. They know that Denise Brown saw this photograph. They know that Denise Brown, or rather that the photograph was taken out of the 1989 safe deposit box. You can look at the photographs and clearly discern that she is younger. She appears youthful in people's mind for identification. If they wanted to object to the introduction of these photographs, they could have.
They are.
Okay, yeah, after they've been shown to the jury. I mean, did I just throw it on the Alamo and then flip the switch and have it jump out there in front of the jury? Of course not. I even asked permission to put the thing on the Alamo. I mean, what more do they want? How many days or months do they need to formulate an objection? Maybe Mr. Dershowitz should come here from New York and help them decide when to object or not.
I think he's in Boston. Big difference.
If I might just respond to my
Mr.
learned
Cochran.
counsel.
What
First
about
of
the
all,
2-attorney rule, Your Honor? What about the
This is
one
separate.
attorney rule on an issue?
He was the one who responded to this.
Your Honor,
I'm sorry. No, actually, I'm incorrect, Mr. Shapiro.
That's right, Mr.
I'm addressing a slightly different issue, Your Honor, than what Mr.
No,
Shapiro
we're
was doing.
talking about the same photograph,
All right.
counsel.
Side, Your Honor. Much more trial experience.
Mr. Darden, thank you. Mr. Shapiro?
Your Honor, the prosecution during their presentation on these issues told Your Honor these photographs were 1989. I don't think there's anything more to say. If we're going to call an expert in as to being able to tell the age of a woman when she has been out at a New Year's party and, according to the evidence, been drinking and been involved in a domestic dispute, and then show a picture of her made up, that could be the next day after. I don't think there is any room for any doubt that this court has been told, counsel has been told, and I'd like Mr. Darden to tell Your Honor that he didn't tell you these were all 1989.
These were all archived in '89. They all relate to the 1989 incident. I think that's the only conclusion we can draw, given what was contained in the safe deposit box, Judge. I mean, it's clear to me that what Nicole Brown was doing was, one, identifying her future murderer, her future killer, and she was trying to establish for us, for myself and Mr. Gordon and Ms. Clark, proof of a pattern of abuse. And it's,
Well,
and
Mr.
it's-
Darden, that may very well be. But I think that comes in the people's rebuttal case after you see what Dr. Walker says, after you've established that through your own experts and through the cross-examination of Dr. Walker, but to throw up a photograph that we can't date to any of the incidents that I've allowed is not appropriate. That's the court's ruling.
Well, I think their failure to object
No. No.
is a waiver.
Counsel, when the court allows 1101B evidence, you as the prosecution have to be very conservative as to how you go about doing that. If you can't tie this photograph to any one of those 3 incidents that Denise Brown can testify to, that photograph is not coming in. All right, let's. Yes.
The reason that one might assume that that photograph was thrown up relates back to the testimony of a police officer named Edwards, who testified that he took photographs, but the photographs did not adequately depict the injuries as he observed them, because they were taken with Polaroid film and because Nicole Brown Simpson did not want to go downtown for proper photographs.
We were talking about sanctions.
Well, I'm leading to that. The inference now is this is the way she really looked in 1989. And I think the sanction should be that the jury should strike from their deliberations any reference to an incident in 1989, any reference to any injuries that were suffered by Nicole Brown Simpson, and any photographs that they have seen or any testimony depicting those injuries.
All right.
Your Honor, when we began this trial, the court ordered the defense to provide us an opportunity to look at their exhibits. And we were given a nanosecond to do that, and when we realized that there was a problem with one of those exhibits and objected, the court found that we had waived the right to object because the objection was untimely, as the court ruled. I think the court should find the same in this situation. They knew what Exhibit 9 was. They've seen it. They've had it in their hands. They've possessed it. It was an issue in the DV hearings. I mean, to sanction us now?
Do you have a foundation for this photograph?
Yes, it is the photograph that Denise Brown saw in the 80s at Rockingham.
Doesn't help us. Thank you. Let's have the jury, please. You'll see in about 30 seconds. Reflect that we've been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel. Ladies and gentlemen, from time to time I need to speak to the lawyers on issues that are oftentimes complex and require extensive argument. Don't necessarily require it, but we get extensive argument. And I think it's easier for me to have you step into the jury room so you can use the facilities there and stretch a little rather than for us to stand over at sidebar for 20 minutes to half an hour. That's the reason for that. The reason for our discussion today was that last photograph that you were shown, People's Exhibit number 9. I am not going to allow the use of that photograph, despite the fact that you've already seen it. I know it's difficult to unring a bell, but I'm going to ask you to disregard what you saw in that particular photograph. The reason for that is there is no foundation. That's a legal finding. There is no foundation for that photograph. In other words, we don't know the date, time, and place where that was taken, by whom, and what it purports to depict. All we have is the picture, and we can't tell the place, date, and time, and who was there, who took it at this point. So I'm going to ask you to disregard that photograph, and we'll continue with the testimony of Denise Brown. All right, Ms. Brown, would you resume the witness stand, please? All right, Ms. Brown, you're reminded you're still under oath. Would you just pull the microphone close to you, please? Thank you. Mr. Darden, you may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I present to the witness on the Alamo People's 10 for identification?
Yes, you may.
Ms. Brown, showing you what has been marked People's 10 for identification. Is that a photograph of your sister, Nicole?
Yes, it is.
And is that a photograph that you've seen before?
Yes, it is.
Do you know who took that photograph?
I did.
Do you recall when it was that you took that photograph?
Yeah, it was right after the '89 incident.
Was it on New Year's Day itself?
Yeah, I think it was a couple of days later.
That photograph depicts certain injuries to your sister, is that correct?
Yes, it does.
The swelling over her right eye, that isn't how she usually looked, is it?
No, it's not.
Your Honor, may I show that you're in People's 11 for identification? Ms. Brown, showing you People's 11 for identification. And this photograph, your sister has her right arm raised, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you see any injury to her right arm there?
Yes, I do.
What do you see?
A bruise. Big bruise.
And directing your attention to the right side of her head, around her forehead. Do you see any injuries to the right side of her head?
Yes, I do.
That's not how she usually looks.
No, it's not.
You told us a moment ago that you took these photographs, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Would you describe for us, please, the circumstances that led to your taking these photographs?
Nicole asked me to take them for her.
Sustained. Not sustained. Next question.
How many photographs did you take of her that day?
Overruled.
Okay. I'll re-ask the question. The day that you took the last two photographs you just saw here, 10 and 11,
Right.
okay, that day, did you take any other photographs of your sister?
All right. Without the court reporter first.
Ms. Brown, are these the only two photographs you took?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And after you took those photographs, what did you do with them?
I gave them to Nicole. She took them.
Okay. And did you know back in 1989 whether or not your sister Nicole had a safe deposit box at Union Bank?
No, I did not.
Ms. Brown, last week we played for the jury an audio tape of an incident that occurred in 1993. Have you heard any portion of that audio tape?
Overruled.
Have you heard any portion of that audio tape?
I don't think so.
Okay. The 1993 tape of the incident at Gretna Green?
I don't know. I don't think
Overruled.
so.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't hear the answer, Your
She
Honor.
indicated no, she doesn't believe that she heard it.
Okay.
Is that correct, Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Darden?
When was the first time you learned that something had occurred on October 25, 1993 at Gretna Green?
Sustained.
Were you present at your sister's house on October 25, 1993?
No, not that I remember, no.
Your sister was married to the defendant in February 1985, is that correct?
Yes.
And since that date, did you on occasion socialize with the defendant?
Yes.
And did you socialize with the defendant and your sister?
Yes, we did.
Okay. You went out together?
Yes.
You went to clubs?
Yes.
What kinds of places and what kinds of things did you do with the defendant and your sister?
Overruled.
We used to go out to dinner. We used to go dancing. We did family vacations, ski trips. We did a lot of things together. We were a family.
And you considered the defendant part of your family?
Absolutely.
So not everything that happened between your sister and the defendant was bad, correct?
No, not at all.
Lots of good times.
Yeah.
Did the defendant own any property in Victoria Beach?
Yes, he did. He had a house.
I'm sorry?
He had a house on Victoria Beach.
Okay, a beach house?
Yes.
And were there occasions when your sister would go down to the beach house on Victoria Beach without the defendant?
Yes.
And would she bring the children sometimes?
Yes.
And sometimes the defendant would come with her, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And your family, the Brown family, did you live close by or near the beach house?
Yes, we do.
During those occasions when your sister came to the beach house alone or without the defendant, did you meet her there on occasion?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
On those occasions when your sister came to the beach house alone,
Uh-huh.
would you meet her at the beach house on occasion?
Oh, sure.
Okay. And would she come to your family home alone and without the defendant on occasion?
Oh, yes.
And on some of those occasions, would you hear from the defendant?
Yes, we did.
He would call?
Yes, he did.
And was there any pattern to the number of calls you would receive from the defendant on those occasions when your sister came to the beach house or to your house alone?
Objection calls for speculation and litigation.
Sustained.
On those occasions when your sister would come, we'll strike that. Strike that. On those occasions when your sister was in Laguna Beach or Victoria Beach alone, would the defendant call?
Yes, he would.
Would you answer the phone?
Sometimes, on occasion.
And on those occasions when you answered the phone, was there a pattern as to what the defendant would say to you?
Sustained.
Do you recall when it was that the defendant bought the house in Victoria Beach?
No. I don't recall.
Okay. Do you recall if it was in the 80s as opposed to the 90s?
Yes, 80s.
Okay. Do you know the exact date each and every time your sister came to Victoria Beach?
Do I know the exact date?
Yeah, the exact
No.
dates. Okay. Were there many occasions?
Yes.
Okay. Can I have one moment, Your Honor?
Certainly.
sister came to Victoria Beach alone and the defendant didn't call?
No.
All right, that last question and answer will be stricken. Juries to disregard. Mr.
Can we
Dart.
approach for a moment, Your Honor?
Yep, with reporter, please. All right, thank you, counsel. Mr. Darden, you may continue.
Ms. Brown, you have a niece and a nephew by your sister Nicole, is that correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and that is Sydney and Justin?
Yes.
Do you recall in which year each of your niece and nephew were born?
Sydney was born in 1985, and Justin was born in 1988.
I take it that your sister gained weight while she was pregnant.
Yes, she did.
And after each of those pregnancies, did she keep the weight on for a while?
Yeah.
While she was actually pregnant, did you ever hear the defendant comment about her weight?
Yes, I did.
What did the defendant say about your sister's weight while she was pregnant?
Sustained.
This is the defendant's statement, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Overruled.
Could you repeat that, please?
What did the defendant say about your sister's weight while she was pregnant?
He used to call her a fat pig. He used to comment like this all the time.
Okay, he'd make hand gestures,
Yes.
holding both hands apart, as you just indicated on the record.
Yes.
And did you actually hear him call your sister fat pig while she was pregnant?
Yes.
And after she had each of the children, would he make similar comments about her weight?
Yeah, he hated fat women.
He would tell your sister that he hated fat women?
He would always comment about her weight.
And you would be present on occasion when he made these comments?
Yes, I was.
Did your sister Nicole react in any way on those occasions when the defendant would call her a fat pig or say that he hated fat women?
At one point, she didn't care how much weight she gained. She just wanted him to leave her.
Can I have one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Ms. Brown, who else would be around on those occasions when the defendant made these comments about Nicole's weight?
Oh, God. I don't know. My mom, she heard it too. my sisters, other people.
And when the defendant would make these comments about your sister's weight, did her demeanor change at all from what you could see?
She would just sort of sit there. She really didn't do anything. She just got quiet.
And on those occasions when the defendant would call your sister these names, did you say anything to him?
Oh, I don't remember.
At some point, your sister lost the weight, is that correct?
Yeah, she looked great.
Do you recall when it was that she lost the weight?
It was a couple of years ago. Almost 3 years ago, I guess.
And do you know how she lost the weight?
Yeah, she started running and eating really healthy.
By the way, the comments the defendant made about your sister's weight, were those comments made in public?
Yeah.
On those occasions when you saw the defendant, and this is after your sister lost the weight, did his attitude about her weight change at all?
Yeah. He loved it. Look at her. She looks great, doesn't she? She's mine.
That's what the defendant would say?
Yeah, she was always like a possession.
Well, during the years when she was carrying the weight, did he ever say, look at her, doesn't she look great, she's mine?
Oh, maybe when she was dressed up or something, who knows?
You know, I need the court's guidance on one matter. Can we approach that sidebar for a moment?
Madam Reporter, how's your paper supply? All right, move the report, please. All right, thank you, counsel. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a brief 20-minute recess at this time. I'm going to ask you to step back in the jury room. We'll resume and go through to the lunch hour. Please remember my admonition to you, don't discuss the case amongst yourselves, form any opinions, allow anybody to talk to you about the case. We'll see you back here in about 20 minutes. All right, Ms. Brown, you can step down for a moment, please. All right, good morning again, Ms. Brown. You're reminded you're still under oath. Mr. Darden.
Ms. Brown, you described for us the incident after you went to the La Cantina restaurant, and you also described the incident at the Red Onion. And you also testified that you consumed alcohol on each of those specific occasions. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
And on those occasions, did you have a drinking problem?
Yes, I did.
You're a recovering alcoholic?
Yes, I am. Sober for over a year now.
During January of 1992, did your sister leave the defendant?
Yes, she did.
Overruled.
And did she move somewhere else?
She did.
And where did she move to?
To Gretna Green.
Okay. And did you visit her there?
Yes, I did.
How did the defendant react to your sister leaving him in January 1992?
It's vague.
Did you ever discuss with the defendant his feelings about your sister leaving him in January 1992?
Let me talk to counsel with the reporter, please. All right, Mr. Darden, you may continue.
Ms. Brown, directing your attention to June 12, 1994. On that day, was a recital held for your niece, Sydney?
Yes, it was.
And where was that recital held, if you recall?
I think Paul Revere School.
And that's a middle school in Brentwood?
Yes, it is.
It was a dance recital, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And did you drive up from Laguna Beach to attend the recital?
Yes, I did.
Did other members of your family also drive up from Laguna Beach to attend the recital?
My whole family did.
That would include your sister Dominique and Tanya?
No, Tanya wasn't there. Dominique was, my mom and dad. My son. Dominique's son.
I'm sorry, your son and who else?
My son and Dominique's son.
Okay. Did you go to the recital?
Yes, I did.
Did your sister Nicole go to the recital?
Yes, she did.
When you arrived at the, strike that, was the recital held in an auditorium?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Now, when you arrived at the auditorium, was it full of people?
Packed.
Okay.
Yes.
And were you given a program for the recital?
Yes, we were.
And so did you know when and at what point Sydney would be dancing in the recital?
We did. She was second to last.
And how long was the recital scheduled to last, if you know?
I think it lasted longer than it was supposed to. I remember that. It lasted a couple of hours.
Now, when you and your family first entered the recital hall, did you take a seat?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Did your other family members take a seat?
Yes.
Was the defendant with you when you first arrived at the recital hall?
No, he was not.
And when you and your other family members took a seat in the auditorium, were you able to sit together in the same row?
No, we were not.
So the group was broken up then?
Yes.
Okay. Different people sat in different rows?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at some point, did the defendant arrive?
Yes, he did.
And when he arrived at the recital, did you greet him?
He walked in on the other side and got a ticket from Dominique, and he kind of waved like that.
Okay, kind of waved to you?
Right.
And did you acknowledge his wave?
I just smiled.
And your parents were there, you say?
Yes, they were.
Did the defendant greet your parents?
Yes, he did.
And how did he greet your parents, if you recall?
He went over and he was talking to them. They were sitting one row in front of me.
Did he also appear to greet your sister Tanya when she gave him the ticket?
Tanya wasn't there. It was Dominique.
I'm sorry, Dominique. Did he also appear to greet her?
Appeared so.
Okay. Did he greet Nicole?
No, he did not.
Did the defendant say anything to Nicole that you heard?
No.
Was your sister Nicole seated to any other member of your family?
Nicole and Dominique were in the back, in one row behind me, and over about 3 or 4 seats.
Okay. And were they sitting directly next to each other?
I think so, unless there was a child in between them.
And so the defendant greeted Dominique, but he didn't greet your sister.
He didn't greet Nicole.
And when he greeted you and your sister Dominique and your parents, what was his demeanor?
He had a very bizarre look in his eyes. It was a very far away look.
Excuse me, counsel. Objections overruled.
Thank you. You said he had a bizarre look, a faraway look?
He had a very far away look. It was actually really kind of spooky. It was a frightening look.
Was he smiling?
No. No.
Can you describe for us physically his physical demeanor at the time?
He just had a very different look about him. It wasn't like OJ just walking into a place and being, hey, here I am, kind of sure of himself type of attitude. It was more of a like a glazed over, kind of frightening, dark eyes. It just didn't look like the OJ that we knew.
Have a moment, Your Honor. Did he always have this glazed over look, that is, throughout the time he was at the recital that you saw?
Well, I wasn't watching him the whole time.
Okay. Okay, so the look you described for us a moment ago is the way he looked when he walked in and greeted your parents?
He was talking to my parents, which was right in front of me, so I was able to look at him.
Okay.
And then he sat behind me.
So did you turn around and look at him during the time that he was sitting behind you?
Yeah, I talked to him.
Did he appear happy and cheerful?
No, not at all. Actually, the only thing that he said to me was that he He was here and he had to jump on a plane to Chicago.
And when the defendant sat behind you, did he sit directly behind you?
Yes, he did.
Did he remain sitting behind you?
No, he did not.
He got up?
Yes.
How long did he sit behind you before getting up?
Oh, I'm not really sure long enough to say those things. But then he got a chair and put it in the corner by one of the back doors. And he stuck the chair in the corner away from all the auditorium seats.
Well, had you said something to the defendant that might offend him?
No?
Did he tell you why he was taking a chair and taking it to a corner of the auditorium and sitting there away from everyone else?
No?
He sat in that chair in the corner of the auditorium?
Yes, he did.
He sat there alone and away from everyone else?
Yeah, I guess somebody went up and talked to him, but the majority of the time, I just saw him there by himself.
What was he doing as he sat there in the chair?
Every time I turned around, because my son went outside to play with the rest of the kids, every time I turned around, he was staring at Nicole.
Did you ever go over and talk to him? That is, while he was seated over in the corner in a chair alone?
No, I did not.
Was there ever a break or intermission? Was there ever a break or an intermission during the recital?
God, it was so long. I think there was a break, yeah.
Did you leave the auditorium? Do you recall?
No. Only at the end.
Okay. Do you recall if Nicole left the recital during the intermission?
I don't remember.
Did you ever see the defendant move the chair out of the corner?
No, I did not.
Did you ever see him get up from that chair in the corner and walk away?
No.
How long, if you recall, did the defendant sit in that chair in the corner and stare at your sister?
Oh, I don't know. I was watching the show. It was just every time I looked back to look for the children, that's when I would see him staring at her.
Did you point this out to anyone?
No, I didn't. No.
At some point the recital was over, is that correct?
Yes.
And did you and Nicole and your mother and father leave the recital hall?
No, actually, they left first, and my mom and dad and myself, we stayed there and we watched the very last show, the very last dance.
Okay. Your nephew, Justin, was in the auditorium, is that correct?
Yes, he was.
Okay. Did he visit with his father, the defendant?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And did everything seem as normal and okay with the defendant and Justin?
Yes, seemed to be.
Did you ever see Justin with the defendant while the defendant was sitting in the corner?
I think Justin was sitting on his lap.
Now, had you and your parents and your sister planned to go somewhere after the recital was over?
Yes, we did. We were going out to dinner.
Okay. And where were you planning to go?
We were going to Mezzaluna restaurant.
And as you left the recital hall, did you see the defendant?
Yes, we did. We walked out with him. Or actually, he was outside, and we met him as soon as we walked out the door. And we walked to the front of the school with him and a friend of his.
Did he give his daughter Sydney anything?
I didn't see him give them to her, but he had given her some flowers.
Did you say anything to the defendant as you left the recital hall?
I don't know if I said anything, but there was conversation going on.
Okay. You heard the defendant talking?
Oh, yeah.
Who was he talking to?
My mom, my dad,
What did you hear him say?
Ron. You know what? I don't remember. It was just about we're going to the restaurant, and I'm not sure what else.
Did you invite the defendant to go to the Mezzaluna with you and the rest of the family?
No, I did not.
Did you hear anyone else invite the defendant to go to the Mezzaluna?
No, I did not.
I take it that you and your family and the children got into your cars and vans and the like?
We got into the cars, and we drove over to Mezzaluna restaurant.
Okay. Did the defendant go with you?
To Mezzaluna?
Yes.
No.
Did you have dinner?
Yes, we did.
What did you do after dinner was over?
We got up and we walked out, and Nicole was gonna go get some ice cream with the kids, and we kissed each other goodbye. The last thing I told her was that I loved her. I'm sorry.
Ms. Brown, do you want us to just take a few moments now?
Do you mind?
Mr. Darden?
Yes, Your Honor?
I asked your witness if she wanted to take a few moments.
Oh, I'm okay. Be all right.
Ms. Brown, when you last saw your sister, what was her demeanor?
She was happy because we'd made so many plans to go do stuff. We were gonna take the kids on a camping trip. We were gonna go to Yosemite. We were gonna go to Club Med. We were gonna just do everything with the children.
Ms. Brown, I see that you're wearing in court today studs on one ear and a dangling sort of earring on the other ear. Is that correct?
Yes.
Sustained.
Can we approach?
Not at this point.
It is relevant. Or you can just let me ask two follow-up questions relevant to the obvious. You better approach.
Let me...
I
Darden?
have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Shapiro?
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Ms. Brown, I, as you know, have to ask you some questions.
Yes.
In preparation for your testimony, did you properly meet with members of the district attorney's office to go over the areas that you would be questioned on today?
Yes.
And have you done that on several occasions?
No.
How many occasions did you do that on?
Twice.
And did you meet with any other lawyer to go over any of the testimony that you might offer in court today?
No.
Haven't talked to any other lawyer about this?
No.
Other than prosecutors, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Mr. Darden.
And have you had a chance to review a transcript of the statement that you gave to the district attorney's office and lawyers in January of this year?
Excuse me?
Have you had a chance to see a transcript of the statements you gave to the district attorney's lawyers and investigators in January of this year?
Yes.
And when was the last time you had a chance to review that?
It was maybe about 4 days ago.
And was it accurate? The things you said in that transcript?
As far as I remember, yes.
There wasn't anything that you called to the attention of any of the lawyers that you wanted to change?
Not that I remember.
The incident that you spoke about, and let's refer to it as the alleged Rockingham incident, the first incident when you were there with Ed McCabe.
Right.
Did you talk about that incident with the district attorneys?
Yes, I told them about that.
And did they ask you when this occurred?
Yes, they did.
And did you have an answer for them?
I had thought it was like I didn't know the exact year, but it was like in the mid-'80s after I had remembered.
Is that what you remember telling them?
I think I told them at the first that I didn't remember when it was that I would check.
Did you tell them that you didn't know whether it was before or after O.J. had married your sister?
I told them I didn't remember, that I would check for them.
Do you remember telling them that it was either, that you couldn't even recall if it was before or after the marriage?
I did tell them that I would check.
And then you checked later?
Yes.
And what did you check to find that out?
Pictures that I had when I was dating Ed McCabe.
Ed McCabe was your boyfriend at the time?
Yes, he was.
And would you describe him as a substantial individual?
Yes.
He's a man who is involved in advertising?
He was at the time, yes.
And he still is?
I think now he has his own company.
And at that time, he was a well-respected man?
Yes, he was.
And you dated him for about 7 months?
I thought it was longer, but
How long do you recall?
I thought it was over a year.
And how long into the relationship was it that the events that took place in Rockingham were described? How long had you been seeing him?
I don't really remember how long we had been going out.
And prior to going back to Rockingham, you said you had been at some type of restaurant,
Right.
and there was some drinking going on?
Yes.
And you have told us that you had some problems with alcohol in the past.
Yes.
And do you recall what your state of sobriety was that night?
I had had a few drinks.
What do you remember as a few drinks? Do you have any specific recollection?
Of how many drinks I
Yes.
drank? No, I don't recall.
Did you feel the effects of the liquor? Do you
Sure, we
remember
were
that?
all happy.
And then you came back to the Rockingham house,
Yes.
and you had margaritas there at the house, did you not?
We had more drinks at the house.
And would you say that your state of sobriety was at least impaired?
Slightly.
And that would go for the same for everybody who was there.
Yes.
Do you have any recollection that O.J. Didn't like people smoking in his house?
Oh, he didn't like cigarette smoke at all?
And your boyfriend, Ed McCabe, was a smoker, was he not, at that time?
Yes, he was.
And Nicole was kind of a part-time closet smoker, was she not?
I don't know if it was at that time, but yes.
And do you recall there being some words spoken by O.J. to Ed McCabe about smoking in the house and giving cigarettes to Nicole?
No, I don't.
Do you recall any discussion about that at all?
About smoking?
Yeah.
No.
If Ed McCabe's recollection on this issue was different than yours, would you say that that might be a fair recollection?
Sustained.
When was the first time that you had to think back about this incident in the early 80s?
The first time?
Yeah.
Actually, a girlfriend of mine reminded me.
How long ago was that? I'm just trying to get the time sequence, not how you did it, but when did you first refresh your memory about this incident?
It's never left my mind.
When were you called upon to recall that? Have you talked about that? Is that something you've talked about over 10 years with people?
That's when my girlfriend, she said to remember that, remember this.
When was
remember
this? I just don't want to know the time. About what?
When I told my girlfriend about it?
When your girlfriend told you about it, remember this, when did that come up?
It was after the murders.
So that's some 12 or 13 years later, is that correct?
This happened early 80s, yes.
Have you talked to anyone who was at the Rockingham house about that incident since the time that you were there at Rockingham?
There was only the four of us there.
Okay. Have you talked to Ed McCabe about it?
I did.
When did you talk to him about it?
I called him, gosh, I'm really bad with time, maybe a month or two ago.
And was his recollection different than yours?
Objection, Your Honor. Call for your second.
Sustained.
You told us you spent the night at the Beverly Hills Hotel because O.J. didn't want any of the three of you in his house.
Right.
And that the next day that Nicole came back to Rockingham with Ed McCabe.
She went back to Rockingham.
Did you go back with Ed McCabe?
Not that I recall, no.
And if you recalled that differently, would you have any opinion about that?
Objection.
If you recall that differently, would you have any opinion about that? I think it's a vague
Do you
question.
recall Nicole leaving the bungalow at the Beverly Hills Hotel with Ed McCabe?
No.
Do you recall how she left the Beverly Hills Hotel?
She left on her own.
Did she have a car?
Yes.
Is that how you got to the Beverly Hills Hotel in her car?
Yes.
And the place you stayed was what they call a bungalow at the Beverly Hills Hotel?
Right.
It's like an apartment unit. It's not really a hotel room.
Right.
I want to now direct your attention to the incident that you referred to as the Red Onion incident.
Okay.
And at that time, you were dating a gentleman by the name of Dino Bucola.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And he's a pretty special person to you, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
He's a man that you dated for about 4 years,
Yes.
and that you still see him, although not romantically.
Right.
And would it be fair to say that Ed Bucola is a surrogate father to your young son?
Who?
That Dino Bucola is the surrogate father to your young son?
Actually, they're really good pals.
He refers to him as my little buddy,
Yes.
but he doesn't, your son does not see his natural father, does he?
No, he does not.
And the person that he relates to as the father image is in fact Dino?
Actually, no.
Does Dino pick him up on weekends and take him on outings?
He comes and sees him usually on Sunday when he's in town.
How long?
This line of questioning is
Overall, I think it establishes a relationship with Mr. Bucola, but I assume there's not a whole lot more than
No. And for how long a period of time has he been seeing him on Sundays?
It's not every Sunday. It's whenever Dino's in town. He sees him. It's been over, gosh, you met Sean when he was 3 months old. And it's been ever since.
And how old is Sean now?
Sean's 8.
Up until recently, you've been living with your parents, with Sean, in Laguna?
I still live with my
You
parents.
still live with them? And
Oh, yes.
that's been also all through Sean's life?
Yes.
overruled.
During the time that Nicole was separated and later divorced from O.J., you told us she had her own place on Gretna Green,
She was living in Gretna Green, yes.
and then she had her own place on Bundy.
Yes, she did.
Did you ever live with her during those periods of time?
On Gretna Green or Bundy?
Yes.
No, I did not.
Did she ever come back home to live with the family?
To live? No.
The incident that you were telling us about at the Red Onion, and you told us a list of people who were there, and I don't want to go over it, but it was about 6 or 7 people.
Right.
At that time, were you also still drinking?
Oh, I was drinking at that time, yes.
And how would you describe your consumption of alcohol?
I said I had a problem.
That can mean different things to different people, and I don't mean to embarrass you, but on this particular evening, could you tell us how much you had to drink, if you recall?
Oh, I don't recall how many drinks, no.
Can you give us some type of approximation as to what your drinking pattern would be like?
On that night, we were
Yes.
doing shots of tequila.
And how many shots would you imagine that you would drink? I know it'd be impossible to remember precisely.
That night, I don't remember.
Could you give us any idea?
I don't remember.
How about, did you have any margaritas there?
Yes, we did.
You remember how many margaritas you had?
No. It was in between dancing, going and having a drink.
It was a party atmosphere, was it not?
Yes, it was.
And the Red Onion was very crowded,
Yes, it was.
a lot of noise,
Yes.
a lot of loud music.
Yes.
And how would you describe your state of sobriety when you were at the Red Onion?
Happy?
In terms of intoxication, if we use the terms sober being one who had just consumed a minimum amount of alcohol but still would be able to drive, and drunk and intoxicated in between, would you be able to put yourself on that scale?
Well, I would not have driven home.
And isn't it a fact, Ms. Brown, that your boyfriend at the time, Dino, was the designated driver for the evening, and he was the only one who didn't have anything to drink?
Right.
And you've talked to him since about this event, have you not?
We discussed it vaguely.
And his recollection is different than yours, isn't it?
Sustained.
You told us that your sister met O.J. Simpson when she was very young, I believe was 18 years of age.
Yes.
And you're aware, are you not, that just prior to that she was dating another gentleman who was in fact older than O.J. Simpson?
Sustained.
You described your sister to the district attorney as being smart, as being intelligent, and as being very beautiful. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you also describe her as being independent?
Yes.
Did you describe her as being strong?
Yes.
Did you describe her as being tough?
I may have said those words. I don't know.
Did all those things apply?
Yes.
Could you describe your sister to the district attorney as having a temper and a mouth on her?
Probably.
I take it there are times that even you and your sister had disagreements.
Overruled.
Not very often.
Did it ever happen?
On occasion.
Did you ever say things to her that you later regretted?
Counsel, this is a sister-sister relationship, siblings. Doesn't tell us much.
Well, husband-wife.
That's the whole continuum.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just was trying to bring out volatility in relationships,
No,
even among
no.
family members.
All right, let's move on.
Thank you. Did you, from time to time, meet friends of O.J. Simpson and end up dating them?
Who?
Anyone, any of his friends?
I have dated a friend.
We see counsel at sidebar. Mr. Shapiro.
I'm not quite this stiff.
Darren, that was called for. Mr. Shapiro.
Yes. The incident at the Red Onion, there was another friend of Mr. Simpson's there, a football player named Reggie McKenzie.
Yes, he was.
Is he a gentleman that you also have dated and been romantically involved with?
No.
Have you dated him?
Have I dated Reggie?
Yes.
No.
I want to now direct your attention to the incident at the recital.
Okay.
The recollection of events that you have is that O.J. was always behind Nicole,
No, he was behind me.
and Nicole was where in relationship to you and him?
She was one row back and to the left of me, and OJ was on the other corner to the right of me.
Was he behind her?
I don't think so, because she was at the very last row.
When you say he went to the corner with the chair, was he behind her or not?
I don't think so. I think they were parallel.
Parallel. And your attention was directed more towards watching he and your sister rather than watching the show and the performances?
No, at that time I was concerned about where my son was.
How long into the performance was this?
When they went outside to play, I'm not really sure.
Do you have any ideas to time framework?
Gosh, I really don't know. It was before Sydney came on to do her dance.
Do you remember O.J. leaving without flowers and then coming back sometime later with flowers?
No, I don't.
Did you see him walk in with flowers?
No, I don't.
In fact, you never saw him give flowers to Sydney,
No,
did you?
I did not.
And you've told the district attorney that he didn't give flowers to Sydney.
I didn't see it. I didn't see him give her flowers.
How much time elapsed from the time that you were leaving the performance to the time that you finally said goodbye to the people outside?
The people, meaning
Did you say goodbye to people before you got in your car and left? Out in
we
front?
said goodbye to OJ and to Ron Fishman.
And how much time elapsed from the time you left the theater or the auditorium to the time that you said goodbye to O.J. and Ron?
Oh, just a minute or two, a couple of minutes.
What was O.J.'s demeanor when you said goodbye to him?
Quiet.
May I just have a moment, please?
Certainly.
the court's permission, we'd like to show a video of Mr. O.J. Simpson at the Paul Revere School, just leaving the recital for purposes of impeachment.
All right, have we seen this before?
Yeah, 352 objection at this point in time.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, given the hour, I'm going to take our recess as far as the jury is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember my admonition to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Don't form any opinions about the case. Conduct any deliberations till the matter has been submitted to you. Don't allow anybody to talk to you or otherwise contact you. And we will see you back here at 1:30. And Ms. Brown, you can step down. Please don't discuss your testimony with anybody else. You're ordered to be back here at 1:30. All right? And you
She testified to regarding O.J. Simpson upon leaving the concert.
I believe she testified that he had quiet to be.
That's correct.
Impeach that.
All right. Do we have the tape queued up?
Yes, we do, Your Honor. May we play it, please?
All right.
Yeah, this is what Mr. Dart gave us. We have to get our own.
Well, then it's a good thing we looked at it first.
Yes, I think so. This may be a different tape, knowing Mr. Dart. This is Darren's tape. They've changed.
Take that as a compliment.
Are we rewinding the tape? Mr. Fairtlow, is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
All right. Please.
Yes, Your Honor, I believe there is.
We will just a little bit, I think. Pardon me, I didn't see the beginning. I'm sorry. Yes, this video was taken by Mr. Scott Kennedy, an investment broker. He sent a copy to the prosecution back last July. We never got a copy until last week. You will see Denise Brown kissing Mr. Simpson. You see Mr. Simpson kissing Judith Brown. You see again Mr. Simpson laughing and talking with Mr. Lewis Brown. The other gentleman in the kind of red sweater, that's Ron Fishman, who was there. He was smiling and talking again. The vehicle that drove up, the Cherokee vehicle that drove up, that was again, son of Nicole Brown Simpson there in the vehicle. And also that's Justin, the son of Justin Barnes. It was taken after the council.
Recital. All right.
Recital.
Simpson matter. Mr. Simpson is again present with his counsel, Mr. Shapiro, Mr. Cochran, Mr. Bailey, people represented by Ms. Clark, Mr. Darden, Mr. Gordon. Jury is not present. Mr. Shapiro, I understand that you have a better copy of the videotape that you want the court to preview before it's used.
If the court pleases, I think it might be a little clearer. It's hard to tell because the equipment we've shown it on is different than the court's equipment, but with the court's permission, we'd like to run it quickly to get the court's approval.
All right, and after we run that, let's run the Firestone interview that the prosecution wants to run, and we'll hear motions on that. I'm ready. All right, let's roll it.
We were both guilty. No one was hurt. It was no big deal, and we got on with our life. As a matter of fact, after...
Start at the beginning, Your Honor, so this hopefully.
With the audio, please.
On 3 occasions in the last 8 years, O.J. Simpson appeared on this program with me. First off, a segment that originally aired in 1989. I asked Simpson about his pleading no contest to a charge of an assault on his wife, Nicole.
The day after this was over, we looked at each other. Hey, we had a fight. We were both guilty. No one was hurt. It was no big deal, and we got on with our life. As a matter of fact, after the Rose Bowl, we hosted a party for a great deal of amount of people, and mostly our friends. Took a trip with a couple of friends who never even knew we had an argument that night. And then 30 days later, I'm reading in the paper this major thing had happened, quoting things that people say to one another in the middle of an argument, right and wrong. I mean, it wasn't all right what you read in the paper, But it was embarrassing. But because our relationship was strong and all our friends knew it, and they knew what they were reading wasn't necessarily the truth, hey, we just tried to put it behind us and ignore it as much as we could. I mean, we could have easily gone to court and been on the stand, and I think even the city attorney's office realized that they couldn't have won it, but that wasn't the point of filing. The point was to bring attention to a new law that's on the book, and who better do that than me? And I just said, why me? Why am I the guy that you choose to do this? I don't think I'm a good example, and I don't think this incident this night was a good example of what you guys are trying to, bring to light.
All right, Mr. Cochran, do you want to address the Firestone segment?
Yes, Your Honor, perhaps we should have an offer of proof regarding this, but I mean, I can anticipate their offer of proof and then address it if Your Honor, whatever order Your Honor wants to proceed in. I have a 352 relevance objection to this. First of all, in talking with the individuals from that show, this is a tape apparently made in April of 1989, which doesn't say that. It was April of '89. About maybe 3 months after Mr. Simpson had entered a no contest plea. And everybody keeps talking about the search for truth. Why don't we just show the certified copy to the jurors that Mr. Simpson took responsibility for the January 1st, 1989 incident, went through counseling, paid his debt to society, and we've now spent the first week of this trial talking much about that. And I think at some point it becomes clearly a 352 incident. Now, if they're trying to show this in the context of an April 1989 show, when Mr. Simpson is a guest on Roy Firestone's close-up show, his response to what he'd already done, by this time he's entered the plea, he's on probation, Judge, and that's hardly the setting which one would want to talk about this spousal abuse situation involving one's wife, and you saw the response. So I think that this is irrelevant and immaterial. I think the real facts of this would be the certified plea, which we'd be glad to get for the court and present to the jurors of what happened in that case. That case was resolved except he had to successfully complete probation, which he did. And so I would object to the showing of the tape. I think that it certainly is 352, that it doesn't really add anything or help us particularly. If they've got a specific offer of proof that can change our minds, then that's one thing. But with the way the record stands now, I don't think they have that, Your Honor.
Mr. Darden?
Your Honor, I don't think the law requires us to change Mr. Cochran's mind before we can admit relevant evidence in this case. Obviously, Mr. Simpson minimized his conduct on January 1, 1989. His statement to Roy Firestone, in fact, is more than just minimizing the incident. It's an outright, untruth. As for Mr. Simpson taking responsibility for his actions, he pled no contest. He never said, I'm guilty, I did it. He pled no contest. He said, I won't fight the charges anymore. He never admitted it. He never admitted beating his wife in public, though he did admit that in the letters to Nicole, the private letters to Nicole. And so his statement to Roy Firestone is a prior inconsistent statement as well.
Subsequent.
Yeah, subsequent. In addition to that, I think the videotape becomes even more relevant given Mr. Shapiro's request that we play the videotape of the recital, or of the events after the recital. When you look at that videotape, the one from the recital, and compare it to the Firestone video, Mr. Simpson doesn't seem real happy on June 12, 1994. And I think that perhaps we should allow Ms. Brown to look at both videos and compare and contrast the defendant's demeanor. And of course, we understand that the 1989 video was filmed 5 years prior. But I think that only enhances the relevancy of that video.
All right.
Yeah. That is absolutely grabbing at straws. That show is not 60 Minutes. That was Roy Firestone, ESPN Sports. And now we're to be told that look at it to characterize his happiness on 2 occasions. That's for the jury to determine. And I think the jury will clearly be able to determine that, as Mr. Darden said in his opening statement, he was in a dark and ugly mood. We saw what dark and ugly mood he was in. I think that's why they don't want this thing shown particularly. The other thing, O.J. Simpson was shown in 1989, about 3 months after he entered the plea. And nobody ran around worrying about when Spiro Agnew entered a no contest plea. The judge tells you, as you know, Your Honor, that a no contest plea is tantamount to a guilty plea. And so he accepts responsibility for that. And he did it. So, I mean, all the rest of this is falderall. We have to go through all of this, all this time, when the man has paid his debt to society. It has nothing to do with a murder case. And in fact, It is character assassination. And all these little attempts to bring these other incidents in have nothing to do with anything. We should get on with this case, Your Honor. And so this is just another example, and we object. And I want to again reiterate, this is a sports show in which he responds and talks about it. And the other thing, he talks about a consistent statement. He is consistent with what he said to the detectives on that night. They had a wrestling match at some point, but he accepted responsibility. He wrote the letters to his wife. What he said to his wife was what's important. Not what he said on television to Roy Firestone and the characterization of it. And what he did in court was important, because that's where it came and that's where it counted.
Mr. Cochran, before you surrender the podium there, let me ask you one other question, however. As to the foundational issues, as to the Firestone tape, do you lodge any objection, now that you've had the opportunity to speak with the producer or whoever it was, the representative?
No, I don't lodge any objection based upon foundation, except to say this is a sports show, Your Honor, where he's a guest on the sports show.
Oh, I understand that.
Yeah, and the rest of the show, let me just say this to you. The shows are 24 minutes and 30 seconds. They've taken 4 minutes out of context. And you know what, Judge? If they're so interested in the truth, why don't they show the entire tape when O.J. Simpson, who's there as a sports star, is talking about sports matters? And then he's hit with this question about the thing with his wife. Now, wouldn't that be relevant if we're going to do the whole thing? And so I have no foundational issue specifically, but except it's taken again out of context. It's a sports show. Roy Firestone is not Mike Wallace. Would you agree with that, Your Honor? That's rhetorical. I think you don't have to answer it. So I think that makes the point. So why don't we show the entire interview with O.J. Simpson?
You really want to get me in trouble?
No, I won't do that to you, Your Honor. But I think clearly the court understands my position in this matter. It's 4 minutes out of 24 minutes and 30 seconds.
Well, what I'm trying to ask you, Mr. Cochran, if at some point in time this tape becomes relevant or it's usable for any other purpose, do you have lodge any objection to its authenticity?
No, I wouldn't lodge an objection to the authenticity, but I would like to see the entire tape because it's taken out of context. I don't know. My original argument was that sometimes these programs are taped, they're cut, that sort of thing. I was told it's on real time, and I accept that. But I was told also there's a lot of other discussion. The fact that Mr. Darden seeks to just show this part, I think we're entitled to see the whole thing.
Have you seen the whole thing?
I've never seen the whole thing. It's not been offered to me, and I'd like to do that. With regard to our tape, you're seeing the whole thing. We're not cutting and pasting.
All right, then let's do this then, counsel. Let's allow the defense to see the entire tape before the court issues any ruling regarding this excerpt. I haven't seen the entire tape either.
I'd like you to see it also.
All right.
Mr. Cochran always stands in front of the court and tells the whole world how he's so interested in the truth. And every time the truth he's confronted with it, he runs away from it.
No, he's just,
okay,
what I heard him just say is he wants to see the whole tape before we do anything further.
Mr. Cochran is aware that there's no other discussion on that videotape relating to domestic violence. Okay, all right? I mean, the jury doesn't need to hear how many yards Mr. Simpson ran for in 1973. We all know that already. I mean, there's nothing else on the tape that's relevant. We'd like to put the tape on, perhaps with Ms. Brown, and move along with our case.
Well, I don't know how Ms. Brown can testify to this tape.
Well, I think Ms. Brown can compare and contrast the defendant's demeanor between the June 12 incident and the 1989 incident.
Well, isn't that sort of oranges and apricots?
No, it's oranges and oranges, Judge.
All right. All right, let's proceed with Ms. Brown, and I'll allow Mr. Cochran the opportunity to see the full videotape.
This afternoon, Your Honor?
I hope so. All right, let's have the jury, please. Stand, please. All right, good afternoon, Ms. Brown. You're reminded you're still under oath. All right. Mr. Shapiro, do you wish to complete your cross-examination?
you very much, sir. I'd like to show you a videotape and ask if you can identify the people who are depicted in the tape that are relevant to this case. Would you please do that for us?
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Shapiro, what is the evidence number on this
I
tape?
believe this is going to be 1002.
All right.
The court pleases. Thank you.
Paul Revere.
Recognize what is depicted in that brief video?
I saw us saying goodbye to OJ
And where were you saying goodbye to O.J.?
at the Paul Revere High School.
And was
Or
this
middle school.
directly after the recital that you have just testified to?
Yes.
May we just show some portions of it, Your Honor, and stop it so Ms. Brown may be able to identify for the jury the people who are in the video?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Judge.
This is Ron Fishman,
And is he married to somebody that you know?
Cora Fishman.
Thank you. May we continue, please? Now, there's somebody who is wearing looks like a blue shirt with dark hair facing a gentleman who is O.J. Simpson. Do you know who that person is?
That's me.
And what were you just doing at that time?
I gave him a kiss goodbye.
And right to your right is a gentleman. Who is that?
That's my father.
And right to your left is another person.
That's my mother.
Thank you. May we continue, please? May we stop it right there? What was your mother doing there?
Oh, I just saw the car go in front of it.
Okay, let's
I'm
see if
sorry.
it's back up and show you.
person who was just kissing O.J.'s room?
My mother.
May we continue, please? Person now shaking hands with O.J.'s room?
I don't see anybody shaking hands.
Let's
You're
see if
talking-
we can play that back again, please.
My dad.
And there's a vehicle in front. Whose vehicle is that? Can you tell?
I'm not sure if that's Dominique's or Nicole's Jeep.
Both identical Jeeps?
Yes.
Or similar Jeeps?
Yes.
Can we continue, please? Did you only make it here in this room?
That's Ron Fishman.
Okay. And the little boy who was getting a kiss and a hug?
That was Justin.
That's Justin?
Yes.
Can we continue, please?
Yes. I think it was Nicole.
I'd like to show the witness a photograph that we would like to have marked as our next exhibit 1003. May we put this up on the screen, Your Honor?
Show that to your people. All right.
In this picture, would you identify the people, please?
That's OJ and Sydney.
And is this the way they were dressed at the school?
Sydney's costume looked different.
So you would say this photograph, in your opinion, was not taken after the recital?
Well, the top part is Sydney's costume, but I don't know, the bottom doesn't portray the bottom of her costume here.
So you would say that this
Oh, there it does.
I'm sorry?
Okay. Now it does. He just changed it.
Okay. Would you say this is the way that Sydney looked after the recital?
With her costume on, yes.
I'm sorry.
With her costume on, yes.
And is that the way OJ looked after the recital?
I wasn't there when the picture was taken.
No, I said, is that the way OJ looked after the recital?
Question's vague, Your Honor.
Yeah,
Overruled.
I guess.
Nothing further, thank you.
We'll leave the picture up for a moment, Your Honor.
Certainly.
Ms. Brown, take a look at Sydney's the expression on her face.
Yep.
The defendant is smiling, isn't that correct?
Yes, he is.
Sydney smiling,
No, she's not.
and she's looking away, isn't she?
Yes, she is.
She just danced in a recital at her school, had she not?
Yes, she did.
Thank you. Mr. Shapiro, about Ed McCabe, a former boyfriend of yours.
Yes?
And you told us that he is in the advertising business, is that correct?
Yes.
Was he in the advertising business in the early 80s?
Yes, he was.
Was he in the advertising business that night when he threw you and your sister out of the house?
Yes, he was.
Sorry, was there an objection, Your Honor?
What's the grounds?
the grounds that that question is an improper question on cross-examination, whether he's in the advertising business has nothing to do with being thrown into a house, and it's obviously prejudicial.
Did he work for Hertz back in the early 80s? That is Ed McCabe?
Ed McCabe did the advertising.
He did advertising for Hertz?
Yes, he did.
And he's still in the advertising business, isn't he?
Right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and back in the early 80s when Mr. McCabe was doing advertising for Hertz, Mr. Simpson was their #1 spokesman, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Are you aware that Mr. McCabe is married now?
I heard that he had gotten married, yes.
Did you also hear that the defendant was his best man at his wedding?
I did hear that, yes.
You also told Mr. Shapiro that your sister was intelligent and strong, tough. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did she have a habit of keeping things to herself?
Yes, she did.
So she was strong that way, wasn't she?
She was very strong-willed.
You saw the video a moment ago.
Yes.
Did you see the defendant pick up Justin?
Yes, I did.
Did you see him shake hands with different people?
Yes.
Did you see him point his finger?
I don't remember.
Can we run the video one more time? Sure. Ron Fishman, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Is he someone that you've seen since your sister was murdered?
Yes, I have.
Do you know any reason as to why he would avoid a subpoena in this case?
Objection. May we approach, Your Honor?
With the court reporter, please.
Yes.
All right, thank you, counsel. Ladies and gentlemen, please disregard the last question. Mr. Darden.
Ms. Brown, you mentioned, we'll strike that. Can we continue with the videotape, Your Honor?
Right.
Okay. Did you see Mr. Simpson shake hands with your father there?
Yes, I did.
Now, did Mr. Simpson complain to you that he was suffering from some type of acute arthritic flare-up in his hands?
Then?
Yes.
No.
Was there anything about his mannerisms that suggested to you that he was in pain?
No.
Did he walk with a limp?
No.
both your sister Nicole and your sister Dominique owned black Jeep Cherokees?
Yes, they do.
Continue. You just saw the defendant lift his son Justin, is that correct?
Right.
Okay. And how much would you say Justin weighed back on June 12, 1994?
He weighs about 75 pounds.
And Mr. Simpson didn't appear to have any difficulty lifting his 75-pound son, did he?
No.
Continue. Have you been able to tell at all which car Nicole was in?
I haven't really been paying attention to the
Okay.
cars.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, let me roll back then just a moment to the arrival of the second vehicle.
There's a difference between the two.
And what is that difference?
Dominique's has a V8 on the back and Nicole's does not. A little sign on the right back corner.
Okay, well, let's go back to... Flight.
I think I did.
Okay. Okay. You saw an emblem in the lower right-hand corner of that black Cherokee?
I think so.
Okay.
Do we have a
No.
do we have a slow capability on this VCR? Let me ask. Do we have a slow-mo and/or freeze frame? Obviously, freeze frame.
Mr. Carpenter wants to take the witness stand, Judge.
We're just, I want to know, do we have a slow-mo capability on this case, this VCR?
No.
Okay.
We have all this other space-age stuff and no slow-mo. Jeez. Ms. Brown, you think you saw the V8 emblem on the right rear of the first
I think there
vehicle?
was something there.
Okay. And that vehicle would have been driven by your sister Dominique?
Right.
Okay. And so the second vehicle then would be the one driven by your sister Nicole?
Right.
Okay. Did you ever see the defendant address your sister Nicole that afternoon?
That evening, no.
Okay. Continue the tape. Now, the defendant's demeanor, up to the point that he smiles at Dr. Fishman apparently, is that his normal public demeanor?
Before he smiles at him?
Yes.
No, he's usually happy.
And did he appear happy up to the point in which you saw him smile?
No, no, not really. Nothing in particular.
Okay. Go ahead. Play the tape. Was there anything at all unusual about the way the defendant used his hands that afternoon that you saw?
No.
Okay. Now, you told us that you had an alcohol problem, right?
Yes.
Did the defendant have an alcohol problem?
Sustained.
Go ahead, one moment, Your Honor. You just saw the defendant's demeanor in the videotape outside the recital, is that correct?
Right.
Is that the way he appeared inside the recital? That is his demeanor?
No.
It was different inside?
Yes.
His demeanor at the rear of the auditorium was different than it was out in public in front of these other people?
Yes.
And what was the difference? What is the difference?
Well, at the end of this tape, he was laughing and smiling and showing. Inside the auditorium, he wasn't. Inside the auditorium, he was watching Nicole and looking, and no smile on his face at all.
Thank you.
Mr. Shapiro? Certainly.
Video where O.J. is picking up his son, and I would like the witness to see if she can refresh her memory whether O.J. is screaming with a little pain when he lifts up his son. Were you able to discern from his mouth movements and his voice that he appeared to be in pain when he was lifting up his son?
No.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Anything more on that, Mr. Darden? All right, Ms. Brown, I'm going to excuse you for this afternoon. However, I believe you may be recalled as a witness. You're directed not to discuss your testimony with anybody other than the lawyers in the case. Do you understand the order?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Darden, your next witness, please.
The next witness is going to be Candace Garvey, and I'm not sure that she's down yet. Take a few minutes.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let me then just ask you to step back into the jury room just for the witness to be brought down from upstairs. As soon as she's here, we'll get started with that witness. All right?
Candace Garvey. affirmed, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Garvey, would you come forward, please?
Raise your right hand, please. You do solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please be seated. Please state and spell your first and last names for the record.
Candace, C-A-N-D-A-C-E, Garvey, G-A-R-V-E-Y.
Mr. Darden.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Garvey. You're married to Steve Garvey, the former L.A. Dodger?
I am.
And were you also a friend of Nicole Brown?
I was.
Did you attend her daughter Sydney's recital on June 12, 1994?
Yes,
And did you see the defendant here at the recital?
I did.
Did you arrive at the recital with Nicole Brown?
No, I did not.
You have children yourself, is that correct?
Yes, I do.
Were any of your children participating in the recital?
Yes.
When you saw the defendant inside the recital auditorium, did you notice anything unusual about him?
I did.
And what was that?
Well, my husband and I walked in, and
All right, sustain. Mrs. Garvey, if you would, listen very carefully to the question that the attorneys ask of you. Please answer precisely the question that they ask.
okay.
All right? Don't volunteer anything. The attorneys will ask you if it's important. Mr. Darden.
Mrs. Garvey, when you walked into the recital auditorium, did you see the defendant?
I did.
Did you notice anything unusual about him at that time?
Yes, I did.
And what was that?
It was just, he was not the same as I had ever seen him before.
And you had seen him on many prior occasions, is that correct?
That's correct.
And how was he different? How is it that he was not the same that evening?
Well, in the normal situation, he is very charismatic and gracious and you know, very kind and a happy person. And this time, I immediately noticed that it was a vast departure from the norm of how I've ever seen him before. He just seemed a little vacant, non-responsive.
You said things to him and he didn't respond?
That's correct.
What kinds of things did you say to the defendant?
I said hello, hi, how are you? And he stared at my husband and I, and really nothing in response. And so I said, well, I had the baby. And he just stared at me and said, yeah, Nick told me. And my husband walked away at that time. And I almost couldn't even move. I mean, I knew something, was wrong, and I felt very uncomfortable, and I just...
Okay. Have you ever seen the defendant angry?
I saw him upset once before.
Okay. And the time that you saw him upset before, how did his demeanor on June 12 compare to that prior occasion?
Well, the one time I'd seen him, he was...
Overruled. Although we couldn't get some foundation as to where and when the prior occasion was. How long ago?
Did you attend a Christmas party in 1993?
I did.
Who threw that Christmas party?
I think we have the same other problem once you move on to the date of the recital.
Okay, but you have seen the defendant angry on prior occasions.
I did.
Okay. So his demeanor on June 12, how did that compare to his demeanor on that other occasion when you saw him angry?
Well, the other occasion he was vocally angry, and visibly, vocally, and angry. This time it was almost like he was simmering. I mean, it's hard to describe. He just, when he stared at me, I felt like he was looking right through me, and it scared me a little bit.
Did you ask him what was wrong?
I did not.
Did you suggest to him that he take any particular course of action?
I did not. Not at that time.
Have one moment. With Nicole?
I did not.
Did you sit in the same row that she sat in?
No.
Did you see where the defendant sat during the recital?
Yes.
Where did he sit?
He was in the very last row on the right-hand side of the auditorium.
Was he seated next to someone else?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. And where was Nicole seated at that time?
I saw her once at the when I came back. I left the recital at one point and came back, and I saw her at the back of the auditorium on the. Well, I came in a different way than I came in the first time. So, if he was on facing down, looking down to the stage, he was on the right. She was on the left.
Okay. Did you ever see the defendant sitting in a corner, in the corner of the auditorium?
That's where I saw him. He was in the back corner of the auditorium.
And did you watch him at all?
I saw him as I was leaving the first time. I left in the middle of the recital because my daughter, as it turns out, her dance was either the last or the second to last dance. And so I needed to go home and come back, and I saw him as I was leaving.
And on that occasion, when you saw him seated, saw the defendant seated in the corner of the auditorium, did he still appear angry?
Sustain.
Well, did he appear angry?
Yes.
Call the roll.
Did you notice whether or not the defendant was paying attention to the events going on the stage?
Call the roll.
No.
You never.
Well, could you please say that again?
Okay. Was the defendant paying attention to what was going on stage, or was he looking elsewhere?
When I was leaving the first time, he was sitting and I don't think he was watching. I don't know if he was watching. He was looking over to the other side of the auditorium.
To his
When
left?
and yes, because I came up and spoke to him.
Okay. And so that we understand clearly, the defendant was seated on the right hand of the auditorium. Is that correct?
Yes.
The right-hand side?
Right.
Okay. And Nicole was seated to the defendant's left?
Yes.
Okay. And where was the stage?
In front. If I'm looking from the back of the auditorium down to the stage. That's my view. Does that make sense?
Okay, so the stage was in front of the defendant.
That's
then.
correct.
Okay, but he wasn't looking toward the stage when you looked at him.
When I was walking up towards him to leave, I mean, I don't know who he's looking at, but he was not looking down towards the stage because I don't think he saw me coming because I walked right up to him and he was not looking in my direction.
Okay. Did you notice anything unusual about the defendant's facial features while he was at the recital?
Just his jaw was set. It was just not the same person I'm used to seeing.
How many times did you actually have contact with the defendant?
3 times.
Okay. And where were you the first time?
Right in the, when you walk through, when you come into the auditorium, but not into the actual auditorium, the little room in front of the auditorium, I saw him there. I spoke to him then. And then when I was leaving the first time, I spoke to O.J. then, and then I spoke to him when the recital was over.
Okay. And was his demeanor any different each of those 3 times that you spoke to him?
No, the last time I spoke to him,
Correct. That'll stand. Next question.
Was his demeanor any different the 3rd time that you spoke to him as opposed to the first 2 times?
no.
Oh, you can answer the question.
Pardon me?
The answer was no to that question?
Yes, I said no.
Thank you.
Did you have a conversation with the defendant the 3rd time that you spoke to him?
Yes, I did.
And what was that conversation?
I was talking about how great the girls were and what a great job Sydney did, and Taylor, my daughter. And I think I mentioned that my husband had been taking videos of the girls and that we had taken close-ups of Sydney. And weren't they great and darling? And he just looked at me and said, uh-huh.
And that was it?
That was it. I mean, nothing else.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Mr. Cochran?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mrs. Garvey. Now, speaking of videos, your husband took some videos of that afternoon?
He
Is that
did.
correct? And have you ever seen a video of Mr. Simpson shortly after this recital interacting with the Brown family and with his son, Justin?
I did.
And when did you see that video?
I saw it on Friday.
And where did you see it?
I saw it in the offices upstairs.
In the DA's office upstairs here?
I did.
Who showed that video to you?
Well, when I walked in, I didn't know I was coming down here Friday, and when I walked in to the witness coordinators, it was on her TV.
Well, who was the witness coordinator?
Patty Fairbanks.
And she was showing this particular video?
Not to me. I mean, I think there was somebody else that works in there watching it.
Who was she showing it to that you know?
I don't know.
All right, well, I want to show you a video now, and you can tell us whether or not it's the same video they were showing up on Friday
Okay.
in the DA's office, okay, when you walked in? All right. What number is this for the record, Mr. Becker? 1003, Your Honor. I'd like to, this is 1002. I'd ask this witness to take a look at this video.
All right, Mrs. Garvey, there's a monitor right to your right hand, right there.
Yes, it is.
There, depicted there. Who is that?
Ron Fishman?
Is that Dr. Ron Fishman?
Yes, sir.
He's married to Cora Fishman?
That's correct.
You recognize those people there? Stop it there, Mr. Douglas. You recognize those people depicted there?
Yes.
Who do you see depicted there?
I see O.J. kissing Nicole's mom, or her mom kissing him, and her dad and Denise, her sister.
All right. By the way, you can continue on, Mr. Douglas. It's the same video that you saw on Friday up in the DA's office?
I did.
Same video?
Yes, I did.
All right. Who's that with O.J.? Is that Dr. Fishman?
Yes, sir.
And who's that who's just jumped up in Mr. Simpson's arm?
Justin.
That's his son?
Yes.
Now, see that smile on Mr. Simpson's face there?
Yes, sir.
Is that the way you normally saw him?
Yes,
Happy,
sir.
as you described?
Yes, sir.
Charismatic?
Well, I don't know. I wasn't there.
Well,
But he looks happy.
You look happy in that photograph, do you?
Yes.
And Is that the way, and those are some of the people who were at that concert we've been talking about here?
Yes, sir.
Is that right, Ms. Garvey? All right, now, when you came in the room in the DA's office on Friday, what time of day was that, by the way?
It was about 5 o'clock.
And did you talk to one of the deputy district attorneys?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
No.
Friday. I
On
got
Friday,
here, I don't know, 1 o'clock?
All right, and did you, after you saw this tape, you saw it with Ms. Fairbanks, did you?
Yes.
Did you then have occasion to speak to one of the deputy district attorneys assigned to this case?
No, I did not.
You didn't talk to him at all that day?
No, I did not.
You just came down here on your own?
Well, I was called to come down.
All right. And you just waited for a while?
I waited, yes, and they sent me home.
Right now, I want to show you another photograph. At this point, we'll put it on the Elmo. The number. Defendant's 1003. Did you see while you were at that concert on June 12th, 1994, at some point, did you see Sydney Simpson?
Oh, yes.
And do you recognize the little costume she's wearing there?
Oh, yes.
And did you see her father present her with some flowers on that day?
I did not.
You weren't present when that happened?
I was not, no.
That's, you're looking at the photograph, however. You recognize O.J. Simpson, do you not?
Yes, I do.
And you recognize Sydney?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, you spoke with the district in the DA's office back on September 6, 1994, at about 11:30. You were interviewed by Detectives Van Adder and Lang, and Marcia Clark was present. Isn't that correct?
Mm-hmm.
At that time, you gave them a statement about what you had seen on June 12, 1994. Isn't that correct? And you were striving to be as accurate as you could at that particular time. Is that right?
Yes.
You got to answer out loud.
I'm sorry, yes.
All right. And you described for Van Adder, Lang, and Ms. Marcia Clark that as Mr. Simpson sat in that last row, he appeared to be deeply engrossed in conversation with Dr. Ron Fishman. Isn't that correct?
I think my husband said that.
Well, were you present?
I was.
And you saw that yourself, did you not?
Yes.
In other words, you saw Mr. Simpson talking or having a conversation with Dr. Fishman. Is that right?
No, when we were walking into the recital originally, that's when we saw them talking.
All right. Well, I'm just asking you. You saw them talking, did you not?
Yes.
And that was the same Ron Fishman we just saw in the video.
Yes. I think I said that he was talking to, I don't know if it was Ron that he was talking to. It was somebody in a sweatsuit, I think. I don't think he had that outfit on. So it may not have been him.
All right. Would it be helpful to you if I were able to show you, what your statement was back in
Sure.
September 6, 1994?
Yes.
All right. May I put you on? I'd like to place this before you and ask you to, if you would, to read this to yourself, first of all, if you would. Read this paragraph.
Where?
From here to here, this paragraph.
The Garveys both stated, no?
To yourself?
Oh, to myself? I'm sorry. Yes.
All right. You read that?
Yes.
Does that tend to refresh your recollection about what you indicated to Van Adder and Lang back in September 6, 1994?
Well, I didn't say that I saw him in conversation with Ron when he was seated in that last row.
The question is, did that refresh your recollection reading that at all?
Oh, sure, yes.
Okay, so listen to my question,
Okay.
please. And you indicated in that conversation that Mr. Simpson appeared to be deeply engrossed in a conversation with Dr. Ron Fishman at some time during the evening. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that's the same Ron Fishman we just saw in the video. Is that correct?
I guess so, yes.
What, is there two Ron Fishmans?
No, but I don't remember him wearing that outfit, so maybe I could have been wrong. Maybe I didn't, maybe when I gave that statement, he may have been talking to somebody else and I may have just thought it was him. I don't know, because I don't remember him wearing that.
All right. Well, you also described to the district attorney's office he's wearing a gray cardigan sweater also. Isn't that correct?
OJ.
Yes, but he's wearing black, wasn't he?
Well, I told him it was a dark gray. I was very specific.
All
And
right,
I
well-
told him the belt, but that's not in there either.
When you, I presume they wrote down what you were saying, did they not?
Well, they didn't exactly write down everything I said.
I mean, they got it wrong?
Well, maybe a little bit.
Okay. All right. Now, I want you to search your memory, ma'am.
Okay.
Do you recall that sometime when you came in that auditorium, you saw Mr. O.J. Simpson deeply engrossed in conversation with Dr. Ron Fishman that particular evening?
That, yes.
Okay. Now, you were there, as I understand it, to see your daughter, who was
Yes.
also performing. Is that correct? And because your daughter was toward the end of the program at some point, you left. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And let's tell the court and jury, how long did this concert last, this recital last, from beginning to end?
I would say about 2 hours and 15 minutes approximately.
So when you first walked in, what time of evening was it?
It was 5 o'clock.
And so that your best recollection is that it lasted until about 7:15?
Yes.
And of that 2 hours and 15 minutes, ma'am, what time were you out of the auditorium? Did you leave and go back home?
I guess I left at about 5:30 and came back around 6:30.
So of the 2 hours and 15 minutes, you were gone perhaps an hour. And you can't tell us what went on during that hour, is that
No,
correct?
I cannot.
All right. Now, do you know how long this conversation lasted between Mr. O.J. Simpson and Dr. Ron Fishman?
No, sir.
Now, you described for the court and jury that at some point you came over and you addressed Mr. Simpson because you knew him, is that correct?
That's correct.
And would I be correct in assuming that you considered him a friend, is that correct?
An acquaintance.
All right, as an acquaintance, and so you came over to him, however, to speak, isn't that
I
correct?
did.
All right, so you spoke to this acquaintance, and he didn't seem to be very responsive to the time you were talking to him.
No.
Was there anyone else seated beside him at the time that you were talking to him?
As I was leaving? I'm
At
sorry.
the time when you came over to speak to him, and you said he seemed kind of non-responsive, was he seated with anybody else in that row?
I believe there was someone next to him.
And could that have been Dr. Ron Fishman?
I don't know.
Did he seem to you to be tired that evening, Mr. Simpson?
No.
Had you ever seen him tired before?
I don't know.
You don't know that,
I
do you?
don't remember.
All right.
I guess not. I don't know.
You don't know, do you?
No, I don't know.
All right. So at any rate, and you can't tell us who he was seated next to when you were talking to him.
I cannot. It was dark.
It was dark inside the recital?
Yes, it was.
At this time, were children performing on the stage at this point?
Yes, it was. They were.
And so
Well, it was in between, actually.
all right, well, let's see. You came over to him after the recital had started.
That's
Correct?
correct.
Someone is seated next to him. You can't tell us whom.
That's correct.
It's dark inside the place.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And when you say dark, I presume there's just some lighting enough so that you can see the stage. Is that right?
Yes.
And this conversation was, I presume, rather brief, was it not?
Very brief.
All right. And then you went on, I presume, to your seat. Is that correct?
No, I left.
Okay, this is about 5:30 when you were leaving.
No, yes, that's correct.
So as near as you could tell, was Mr. Simpson there when you arrived?
I did not look for him. No.
All right.
I
But
don't know.
when you first looked up, he was already there. Isn't that correct?
When I came back,
Oh, at any time. When you saw Mr. Simpson, he was inside the recital. Isn't that correct?
when I was leaving, I saw him inside the recital.
Okay. And you don't know what time he got there, do you?
Oh, yes. I mean, well, I don't know when he got there. I saw him at 5 o'clock when I arrived. He had arrived. He was in there.
Was he
waiting
there?
to sit down.
Or was he there already before you came?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that was the question. All right.
Oh, it was?
Okay,
I'm
no
sorry.
problem. It's all right. So then you left at 5:30. He was still there, right?
That's correct.
You don't know what happened between 5:30 and 6:30, right?
No.
And you came back at 6:30,
Yes.
right? And when you came back, you saw your daughter perform, right?
That's correct.
And did you see Mr. Simpson at or near the end of that concert?
I
Around
did.
7:15.
That's right.
He was still there, right?
That's right.
All right. You described in response to one of Mr. Darden's questions that normally Mr. Simpson seemed to be a kind, happy person, very charismatic, and that's how he always seemed to you. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And when you saw him at the end of that video there,
Mm-hmm.
he seemed to you to be kind and happy. Did he not?
Yes. Yes, he did.
Like he always does. Isn't that right?
That's right.
And when you saw this up in the DA's office on Friday, didn't you think, gee, that O.J. Simpson looked pretty kind and happy at that point? Didn't you think that?
Well, what I really thought was that was an amazing change.
Is that what you thought?
I really did.
Now, do you see that's the exact same date? You
I
understand
know,
that?
that's right. It amazes me.
Have you ever been at a place and been in a conversation with someone, and someone comes up and interrupts you and you don't give them full attention? Ever happened to you?
Sure.
And then after you finish that conversation, you go on and your usual happy-go-lucky self after that. Ever happened to you?
Well, I don't know. I don't remember. But
In your own life, isn't it true that it's difficult to take something out of context in somebody's life in a particular afternoon? Would you agree isn't that, let me finish, wouldn't you agree that's a little difficult?
It's argumentative.
Maybe I can rephrase it.
Please.
We now know that at some point during that recital that afternoon, Mr. Simpson seemed his normal self, don't we?
Yes.
And you're telling us that inside, in the dark, while the recital was going on at some point, he seemed to you to be kind of vacant. Is that the word you used?
Well, he was in the light when I originally spoke to him and had my first impression formed.
All right, but you said he seemed vacant at some point today, did you not?
Yes.
And when you describe this, would you agree with me that the events of June 12th were fresher in your mind back in September 6th than they are now?
No.
You're one of those people where your memory gets better the longer time goes by?
No.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. When you described Mr. Simpson to Ms. Clark and to Detectives Van Adder and Lang, did you describe him, she described Simpson as appearing to be preoccupied and depressed? Did you describe it that way?
I think I felt that.
All right, and was that accurate?
I think that's probably, yeah, maybe.
You never said anything about him being angry, did you?
Oh, yes, I think I did.
Did you read the statement? Did you ever see
I
them?
did read it, yes.
Did they ever put that down?
I don't, well, now that I've just read it, it was not there.
Let me approach. Would you like to see it again?
Yes, please.
Okay, may I approach you?
You may.
And please read this to yourself.
Okay. Yes.
All right. And having read this particular, it's the third paragraph, well, fourth paragraph, page 123C, you see any place in there where Detectives Lang, Van Adder, or Ms. Clark have noted where you told them anything about Mr. Simpson being angry that afternoon?
No.
But you do see where you said he was preoccupied and depressed, right?
Yes.
And you also told them, did you not, that you never observed Mr. Simpson speak to anyone except Ron Fishman?
That's correct.
All right, and you saw the video, so you know he spoke to other people now, don't you?
That's correct.
And you described a period of time when you were leaving the recital, and so you were there at the end of the recital about 7:15. Did you see Mr. Simpson at that time also?
When I left?
Yes, when you were
Yes,
leaving.
I did.
Was he outside?
No.
Was he still inside?
Yes.
So you came out before he did?
That's correct.
Were you present when he presented those flowers to his daughter?
I was not.
You responded to, and strike that, in one of your bits of conversation, you said you'd had your baby. You'd had a baby at that time?
Yes.
And Mr. Simpson said Nick had told him that, and was that the name he referred to his ex-wife as, Nicole?
I don't know. I'd never heard him say that before.
When he said Nick, you didn't know what he was talking about?
Oh, I knew what he was talking about. But I'd never heard him call her Nick.
So when he said Nick, you knew he was talking about Nicole, did you
Oh,
know?
I did, yes.
Did you, by the way, speak with Dr. Ron Fishman that evening?
I don't believe so.
Do you know him?
I have met him, yes.
And you had met him prior to June 12th, 1994?
Yes.
All right. And you left then the Paul Revere Middle School at about 7:15 that afternoon, right?
That's correct.
And the last time you saw Mr. Simpson that evening when he was at Paul Revere, was it about that same time, 7:15, a little before?
Yes.
And did you ever see him outside, like you saw him in the video, smiling?
No, I didn't.
I have nothing further this witness at this point, Your Honor.
Mr. Darden, any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Gardner, the photograph up on the screen now, do you see the defendant's left hand?
Yes.
Up on the screen now, do you see the defendant's left hand?
Yes.
You don't see any cuts on his index finger, on any finger, do you?
No.
You were also interviewed by members of the DA's office in October of last year, is that correct?
Yes.
Was that interview tape recorded?
I believe so.
And was it a detailed interview?
Very.
Okay. Was it more detailed than the interview you had with the LAPD?
Yes, it was.
And that interview was transcribed as well, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you told the DA staff in October that the defendant appeared mad, didn't you? What further foundation is necessary?
I'm not going to tell him here. Maybe coach.
Hold on. All right, with the court report, please. All right, thank you, counsel. Mr. Darden.
Thank you, Your Honor. And you were interviewed by the DA staff on October 27, 1994, is that correct?
Yes.
And isn't it true that you told us on that date, and I'm referring court and counsel to page 19 of the transcript of that interview. Shall I start on line 21?
Yes.
Page 19. Didn't you tell us at line 21? You ready, Mr. Cochran? Whoa, whoa.
Is there an objection?
Yes, an objection. Yes.
All right. Mr. Darden, if you just hold on a second.
Do you recall being concerned about the defendant when you saw his demeanor?
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, you told that to the DA investigators back in October, didn't you?
I did.
And you wondered why he appeared the way he appeared at the time.
I did.
And in fact, you told the DA investigators, and I quote from line 22 of page 19, but then I thought, no, he's mad. I mean, he couldn't even answer some questions. Hi, how are you? Do you remember telling that to the DA investigators?
I do.
Okay. You concluded that he was mad when you saw him, didn't you?
Yes.
And were you concerned at all that maybe you did something to upset him?
Well, I think I initially personalized it, but knew that that couldn't be the case.
Did you ask the defendant if he was upset?
I didn't.
Didn't you tell the defendant to go outside and take a walk?
No.
Let me ask you about something you just told Mr. Cochran, but that he glossed over.
Mr. Darden. Mr. Darden, please.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I apologize. I'm sorry, Mr. Cochran. I apologize. May I proceed, Your Honor? Mrs. Garvey, a moment ago, did you indicate to us and to counsel that there was an amazing change between the defendant's demeanor at the recital or during the recital and his demeanor after the recital?
Yes.
And you used the word amazing, is that correct?
Yes.
Could you tell us what you meant by that, please?
Is that an objection? Thank you. Overruled.
Thank you. You may answer the question.
Well, I mean, he was, in my opinion, completely different than I'd ever seen him, either as a fan or someone that knew him personally. And to see that videotape, it was amazing. I mean, amazing difference. But I guess that's why he's a spokesman. I mean, he's...
Thank you. Next. The conclusion, that's why he's a spokesman, is stricken as being non-responsive to the question. Juries to disregard that portion of the answer. Mr. Darden, next question.
Okay. You also indicated that the auditorium was dark once the program began.
Yes.
But was it so dark that you couldn't see the defendant or locate him in the crowd and walk over to him and talk with him?
Oh, no, I recognized him.
So you could see that well?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Madam Reporter, how's your paper supply? That's all you have, Mr. Cochran, 2 minutes.
Let's see, I'll speak faster than usual then, so we'll get it done. I'm only kidding.
I also have to change court reporters.
Certainly, Your Honor. How many times did you speak with the district attorney's office in connection with this case prior to your testimony here today?
I believe I was down here twice, and I think they sent a special investigator to my house once or twice.
And did you give statements each time they came out and talked with you?
I talked to them. Is that what, I mean, I see a formal statement that you showed me. I've never seen another one other than that.
All right. Now, you don't have any question in your mind, do you, ma'am, that the video that we showed you and showed the jury was O.J. Simpson at the conclusion of that particular recital?
That's correct. It was him.
Isn't it great we have video? Isn't that great?
That's correct.
And, you know, we can actually see how the person looked, can't we?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
All right, anything more, Mr. Darden?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mrs. Garvey, that concludes your testimony for this afternoon. Please don't discuss your testimony with anybody else except for the attorneys till the trial is over. Do you understand the order?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. All right, you're excused. All right, counsel, I need to take a court reporter recess at this point. Ladies and gentlemen, this will be a 15-minute recess. Please remember my admonition to you, don't discuss the case amongst yourselves, form any opinions about the case. We're still in session, ladies and gentlemen. Or allow anybody to talk to you about the case. I ask that you step back into the jury room, please.
Please raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in the trial now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please be seated and state and spell your first and last name for the record.
Cynthia, C-Y-N-T-H-I-A, Cheyenne, S-H-A-H-I-A-N.
Ms. Cheyenne, you were a close friend to Nicole Brown, is that correct?
Yes, I was.
Did you visit her on June 7, 1994?
Tuesday morning, yes, I did.
And why did you go to her home that day and at that time?
Nicole and I were going to jog, take a morning run.
Okay, you're going to have to raise your voice so everyone can hear you. Okay, but you're going over to go jogging?
Yes.
Is that something that you and Nicole did often?
Yes, we did.
Let me show you a single-page document dated June 6, 1994, and it is signed O.J. May it be marked Peoples 25 for identification.
All right, Peoples 25.
Okay, and I've shown this to defense counsel, Your Honor. Showing you Peoples 25 for identification. You recognize this letter?
Yes, I do.
When was the first time that you saw this letter?
On Tuesday morning, when I arrived at Nicole's condo on Bundy.
Can I put the letter up on the album, Your Honor?
Which letter is this?
Pardon?
Which letter is this? I'm sorry.
Just a moment, sir.
Which letter is this?
This is the letter from dated June 6, 1994, from O.J. Simpson Enterprises, where he mentions the change in their
Got it.
circumstances.
All right. Around your right hand there.
Okay. This is the letter that you saw at Nicole Brown's house on June 7.
Yes, I did.
And where physically was the letter located the first time you saw it?
When you entered Nicole's kitchen, on the left-hand side, there was a granite a counter, and she had it with some other pieces of paper, and she took it out to show me.
Okay. Nicole Brown showed you this letter?
Yes, she did.
And what was her demeanor when she showed you this letter?
She was devastated. She was angry. She was upset. She was horrified.
Can I ask you just pull the microphone a little bit closer to you? Great, thank you.
Okay. So she was devastated, angry, upset.
Ask another question.
Did she say anything at that time? Can we approach you? What was Nicole Brown's demeanor when you first saw her that morning?
Overruled.
What was Nicole Brown's demeanor the first time you saw her that morning?
When she spoke of the letter, normal, which is, always greets nicely and pleased to see.
Okay. But at some point her demeanor changed, is that correct?
When we... Yes.
Who's the judge here?
I am. Next question.
And this change in Nicole Brown's demeanor, did that happen simultaneous with her retrieving that letter?
Yes, it did.
And did she say something to you at that time?
Sustain.
Did she say something to you at that time?
You can say yes or no. Did she say something to you?
Yes.
Next question.
And was she upset?
Yes.
And the comment she made to you, was it regarding the letter?
Sustain.
Can we reapproach sidebar, Your Honor?
Sure. Mr. Darden.
Mr. Fairlow, could you focus on the first 3 lines of the letter, the narrative portion of the letter?
Can you, it's too large.
A little wide here.
Bring it down.
Can you? Is that as good as you can do? Ms. Cheyenne, did you see where the letter indicates something about a change in circumstances?
Yes.
Did you discuss the content of the letter with Nicole Brown?
Did I?
Yes.
Yes.
And was it during your discussion with her of the content of that letter that she seemed devastated, upset, and horrified?
Sustained. 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 You're arguing your objection as well, Mr. Cochran. Sustained.
Looking down at the base or the bottom of the letter, you see the words OJ there?
Yes.
Okay. This is the letter you saw in Nicole Brown's possession on June 7th, is that correct?
Absolutely, yes.
The jury have an opportunity to read the letter, Your Honor.
Let's give the jury an opportunity to finish reading the letter. All right, Mr. Cochran.
Thank you very kindly. Good afternoon, Ms. Sheehan.
Afternoon.
With regard to this letter, the letter that's now on the board, did you read the letter that day, or have you read it since that time?
I read it that morning, yes.
Okay, and you've read it since that time also?
Just here.
Yes, you read it here?
Yes.
All right. And it starts off there in the first sentence there, on advice of legal counsel. Were you...
The letter speaks for itself.
I have a question I'm about to ask, if I can be permitted to ask it. Thank you, Your Honor. On advice of legal counsel, then he goes on to make a statement. Were you aware that Leroy B. Taft, the person who CC'd on this letter, Esquire, was Mr. Simpson's business lawyer back in June of 1994?
Yes, I was.
And you were aware he'd been his business lawyer for some 20-plus years before that time?
Yes, I knew that.
And, Cheyenne, were you also aware that Marvin Goodfriend was his CPA back at that time and had been for some time before?
No, I did not know who CPAs was, no.
All right. But both of the names, Leroy B. Taft, Esquire, and Marvin Goodfriend, were at the bottom as having been CC'd?
I do remember.
Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And you recall the third paragraph wherein there's an indication that Mr. Simpson cannot take part in any course of action that might intentionally or unintentionally be misleading to the Internal Revenue Service or the California Franchise Tax Board? You recall reading that at some point on that date? Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Redirect.
Ms. Cheyenne, you see in line 2 where it says, I am compelled to put you on written notice?
Yes.
See that part?
Yes.
You see the part above that where it says, because of the change in our circumstances?
Yes.
Was there a change in the circumstances between Leroy Taft and Nicole Brown that you know of?
That question is vague, indefinite, uncertain, unintelligible.
Overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. Was there a change in the circumstances in the relationship between Nicole Brown and Leroy Taft?
No.
Was there a change in circumstances in terms of the relationship between the defendant and Nicole Brown?
Yes.
You saw Nicole Brown almost every day, is that correct?
Not every day. We at least once or twice a week in 1994.
What was the change in their relationship? That is, the defendants and Nicole's.
Without further foundation after that. This is improper redirect examination further.
Overruled.
What was the change in their relationship?
The change was that they were not together as a couple.
And did that change occur a few weeks of Nicole Brown's death?
Objecting without further foundation.
What's the date of the letter? I'm sorry.
June 6, 1994.
All right, objections overruled.
Did that change in their circumstances occur within a few weeks of Nicole's death?
Yes, it did.
That's all I have.
Cochran?
I have nothing further. Maybe excuse me.
All right. Ma'am, please don't discuss your testimony with anybody else except for the lawyers on the case. That order is in effect till the end of the trial. Do you understand the order? All right, thank you very much for coming in. All right, Mr. Darden, do you have any of the witnesses available this afternoon?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, one of the hardest jobs of a trial attorney in any case is to determine how long a witness's testimony is going to take and how long the cross-examination will take by the other side. And oftentimes we miscalculate on those. Apparently the prosecution does not have any further witnesses to present this afternoon, so we're going to take our recess at this time. Sometimes we'll have more than enough witnesses, and sometimes we won't have enough. It all depends on the day. Please remember my admonition to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Don't form any opinions about the case. Don't let anybody talk to you about the case. Don't perform any deliberations till the matter has been submitted to you. All right? Have a pleasant evening tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. All right.
Thank you.
You can go.
Well, I thought it worked quite well with my witness list, didn't it?
Well, you ran out.
Yeah, until I ran out, but they knew I was going to run out. The court earlier ordered the defense to take a look at the ESPN tape. Would the court order them to look at the tape before they leave today? The entire 30-minute tape, if that's what they want to do, so that I can finally perhaps play it in front of a jury in this case?
All right, Mr. Cochran, you'll take the opportunity this evening to look at it.
When I had time to do that, yes, I'll be more than happy to.
Said another thing, Judge. If Mr. Cochran keeps picking on me,
You better comment later.
I know he loves me. I know he loves me like a son, but I'm getting tired of this stepdaddy.
Judge, I'm more than happy. I'll deal with him later on, Your Honor. But I'm glad to watch the video. I haven't had a chance yet, but if he has it, you have the entire tape here?
I gave you a copy of it this morning.
Okay, yeah, but I don't have a VCR in my briefcase. But I will watch it this evening, and I'll call Mr. Darden.
All right.
I'm playing it tomorrow. That's all I have to say.
Your Honor, I have some exhibits to show to counsel that I'd like to use tomorrow. And
All right.
I
This is
also...
in the nature of a show and tell.
That's right.
All right. Why don't you show them to counsel?
I will. And I'm just surprised in court till we have it on the record that I'm doing that.
All right.
Also, I've asked